It's musicality on the track. musicality on the track.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Treasure at the End of This Dungeon is an escape from this dungeon, and we will never escape from this dungeon. I am very excited to be playing this tonight. This game was written and published by Riverhouse Games. You can find this game and more games by them at riverhousegames.com or riverhousegames.itch.io. We're going to start things off with introductions for everyone. Lucian, tell us who you are. Tell us who you are, the self you're playing, and where people can find you.
Hi, I'm Lucian, and I'm playing the Muscle, and you can find me at Twitch at Chaotic Lucian. Did you want me to read my self rules now?
No, just
okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect. Kay, tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Kay, and tonight I will be playing our mage, or in this specific moment, our sorcerer. And you can find me at puppylover12398 on Twitter, or any probably variation of puppylover12397 on Carrion Comfort Studios.
Ashley.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley, or Aid. You can find me on Twitter at Aid3E, or on Discord, Aid. Today I'm going to be playing the healer to everyone's surprise, I'm sure.
And I'm Zoe. I'll be playing the Thief, and you can find me at Twillick43 on Twitter, Instagram, pretty much anything, Discord. It's a universal username for me at this point. Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited to start playing this. Before we get into things, I do want to let you all know we are raising money tonight for fellow player, community member, and all-around great person, Lucian, after some insurance fuckery. So you can see the incentives. Yep, there's the donation link. So you'll be able to donate there on the GoFundMe, and when you donate the amount for the incentive, you can whisper it to me on Twitch or send me a DM in Discord if you can find me on Discord, and just let me know you donated and what you want to have happen. The incentives are listed there. $20, you can choose an additional element for the room. As we go through this dungeon, there will be certain elements that we have to engage with, and for $20 you can make us have to engage with another one. The dungeon is randomly generated, so for $30 you get to decide which room we go in, and we'll cycle through all the rooms first so you get an idea of how they all work, and then $30 you can decide where we go. $50, I have a drink here. You can make me finish that drink 3 times only. That one's easy.
Get it while you can.
And for $100, you can kill one of us, or you can save one of us from death, because we will be dying a lot in this game. So you can save one of us from that fate, or you can torture us just a little bit more. What's that?
Or untimely end us.
Exactly. Perfect. So, with that said, let's begin the game with the introduction. We are bone and feathers, and we will never escape, and we want to escape. We want to fly. The treasure at the end of the dungeon is an escape from this dungeon. We will never escape from this dungeon. We are bones and feathers and hope and magic, and we will never escape from this dungeon. We want to fly out of here on our busted wings and feel the air on our faces turned up towards the sun, but each room of the dungeon is the same, and each room of the dungeon brings something new, and we will never escape from this dungeon. Each room of this dungeon unlocks more of this dungeon. There are 5 rooms in this dungeon, and there are many rooms more than 5 in this dungeon. We have each died in one of the rooms in this dungeon, and we will each die many times more in each of the rooms of this dungeon. Each room of this dungeon is different, but each room of this dungeon is the same, only growing larger with each time we enter each room of this dungeon. As we crawl, we repeat. The cycle is always the same, and we have different faces. The guardians are different beasts, the traps are different traps, the deaths are different deaths, and the treasure is always the same. The treasure at the end of this dungeon is an escape from this dungeon, and we will never escape from this dungeon. Here are the rules of this dungeon in no particular order. There are 5 rooms in this dungeon. They each have their own rules. When we enter a room of this dungeon, we decide which room we are entering and follow the rules for that room. There are four of us crawling in this dungeon. We each have our own rules. Ourselves will be detailed later, along with our rules. We may be bidden to do violence at times, and that is acceptable and maybe even inevitable. However, when you do violence unbidden, it always ends poorly for you. Always. This applies to us as dungeon crawlers, but also to any denizens we meet while trying to escape. We will never escape this dungeon. We will always try to escape this dungeon. None of us owns the dungeon, and we all own the dungeon. That said, whoever opens the door to a room controls the reality of that room. Opening doors to rooms of this dungeon is exhausting, and we can only do it once. If any one of us opens more than one door, they will absolutely die. We crawl this dungeon with friends who we care for, and we ask first before approaching treacherous spaces. We are going to die more than once, perhaps more times than we can count. We will look to ourselves to tell us what happens when we die. And here are the rules of the selves. There are 5 rooms of this dungeon, and there are many more than 5 rooms in this dungeon. When we open a door to a new room, we decide which of the 5 rooms we are visiting. When we visit a room for the first time, we follow the rules listed for that room. When we visit a room again, we add a new rule, detail, denizen, or challenge to the room. These additions are called elements. We must engage with every element of a room before we can open a door to a new room. There are 4 of us crawling in the dungeon, each have our own rules. We are going to die more than once, perhaps more times than we can count. We will look to ourselves to tell us what happens when we die. The selves are who we are as we crawl through this dungeon. Each self has powers none other can master, as well as ways of interacting with this dungeon in ways that are unique. And with that said, we will get into the selves we are playing and their details. Lucian, let's start with you. Tell us your name, your look, all of the details you've chosen, and then tell us the rules of yourself.
I am playing Lysander Fallen Heart, and I am the muscle, and I am mailed and monstrous, and I wield a sword, and the source of my power is my faith. My rules are that I do not die, not even when opening doors. Instead, any time that I would die, I cross out a rule from below. When this is the only rule left, I meet my gruesome end. A new muscle will then join the rest of the selves, and I will pick a new look, a new weapon, and power, and refresh all the moves I have previously crossed out. I can command death. Whenever I declare that someone or something will die, they do. I may need to help death along to make this happen. I may use my strength to help the group overcome one element per room by saying, we don't need to deal with this element because I am so strong. And then my last rule is, anytime a friend would be hurt, I may choose to take the blow instead.
Perfect. Kay, introduce us to your mage.
Yes.
Your look. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, my mage, His name is Varric Elderspark, and his look is leather and lace. He currently has 3 spells: Invisibility, Spark, and the Summon power, and his source is training. The rules for playing the mage are: you cast spells to bend reality. You start with up to 3 spells prepared from the list above. When you use a spell, cross it off temporarily. If you spend a moment to breathe, you may choose up to 3 new spells. You may prepare a max of 3 spells at any given time. Spells do marvelous things, and there aren't hard or fast rules to what a spell can do. Look to the name of a spell to help guide your magic. You know how the world works through experience, magic, or intuition. You never are stumped by a puzzle and can often find the answers to a riddle by simply sitting in uninterrupted thought. You may have to get creative with your answers, however. 5. When you die, cross off a spell from your list permanently. You lose that spell permanently. 6. The first time you die, come back knowing an arcane secret, which allows you to combine the effects of any 2 spells into one very powerful spell. The second time you die, you may combine up to 3 spells at a time. The third time you die, you can prepare 4 spells instead of 3. The fourth time you die, you can prepare 5 spells instead of 4, and so on and so forth.
Perfect.
What did you say your character's name was? Sorry.
Varric Elderspark.
Barrett. Okay, cool.
And I am playing the thief. Her name is Autumn Ashfell. Her look is scared and scarred. Her specialty is acrobatics, and her power source is an artifact. The rules to the thief. Number 1. There are no rules to thievery, but don't let anyone else know. Number 2. They all think it's horrendously complicated, and it'd be a shame to let them down. 3. When you pretend to use a rule, write whatever deed you've done in one of the empty spaces below. And then my final rule: when you die, erase all your deeds and start your exploits anew. All right.
Did you skip me on purpose?
Did I skip you? I'm so sorry.
No.
Ashley, tell us about your
That's
healer.
okay. So I'm playing the healer. Her name is Kiernan Glorysworn. Her look is polished and platinum. Her oath is penitence, and her power source is training. So the rules for the healer are as follows. You are able to heal others through miraculous means, once per room. You may prevent another from dying if you ask them what they cherish about the world, and they give you a valid answer. I serve an oath chosen above. You must strive to act within this oath whenever possible, even to your own death, if that is the outcome. I can read. If you engage with an element from the heart and you find a profound change in your soul or the soul of a friend, you may erase that element from the room permanently. If this happens, cross off your active oath and choose a new one from the list. When you die, refresh all the oaths you have crossed out and choose one as your active oath.
Perfect. All right. And with that, we will start our dungeon crawl. So the first room that our small party finds themselves in is called the Gatekeeper. The first rule of the Gatekeeper: the first time you enter the room of this dungeon, answer the first question and highlight one element. The first question for the Gatekeeper is: where are we? What does this dungeon look like? So the dungeon that our party finds themselves in is, I think it's high up on the crags of some snowy mountain in the far north of whatever world we happen to inhabit. I think it was a very perilous journey just to get here. But the rumors we've heard of this dungeon made that risk well worth it. And after several days of climbing this mountain, making camp in the snow, we find ourselves at the opening of a cave. Icicles instead of stalactites hang from the ceiling, almost shaking as we enter, as if they might drop on us at any moment. The weather is freezing cold. The floor is slippery, and we have to take careful steps as we start to go inside this dungeon. The walls are practically made of ice, and I think if any of us were to look closer at these ice walls, we almost see shadows inside it, as if this ice is formed around creatures from long ago and preserve them in the icy walls of this dungeon. And the element I'm going to select, there are several elements for the Gatekeeper: a door, a guardian, fog, a lock with no key, a shocking trap, a hidden entrance, a test of worth, several more. But what I'm going to choose is a clear sight into this dungeon beyond. Because there is no proper door, I think. There is no obstacle separating us from the room of the Gatekeeper into the rest of the dungeon. I think we see clear straight ahead. It is dark down there. The details aren't super clear, but we absolutely know for sure that is the way to go, and that is the only way to go. There is no other path forward. The second rule is about re-entering the room of this dungeon, so we'll skip that for now. The third rule, the highlighted elements must be engaged. What does that look like? What do we do? How do we feel? So at this point, everyone who enters the room first controls the reality of that room, as I just did. We describe the room through the questions and the elements, but at this point we all get to engage with our characters and engage with these elements as a party.
I think Lysander hoists his sword over his shoulder and is like, "Are we ready? It's clear."
It is clear, but perhaps we should take a moment. This ice looks frail and thin. If you give me but a second, I think I can do something about it.
What are you planning on doing?
I think it might be a good idea if we did not traverse it first, and we sent someone else in to go through the area for us.
Oh,
Someone else.
I could do that. I'm very Autumn does a backflip and lands perfectly. I'm very agile. I could skip across, make sure, and if anything goes wrong, I'll be able to, avoid any pitfalls or traps or anything like that.
I was originally thinking someone that wasn't real, but I like your enthusiasm. Autumn, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. And Autumn very nervously steps forward, wishing she hadn't opened her mouth at that point.
Autumn, if you do not wish to enter first, I can.
Or
No, it's okay.
We could just summon someone.
Yes, I
like
could
Varric said.
summon.
Yeah. Summon your imaginary friend.
Yeah, so
That is safer.
Varric takes a moment, and you watch as their hands swiftly move in several directions, different visages of colored lights and sigils. And at first, a small cat seems to pop out, and it's this teeny little black kitty. But then it grows, and it grows, and it grows until you've got a pretty average-sized panther. About 160, 70 pounds, 200 pounds, something closer to more human size. And Varric smiles and reaches a hand across from head to tail, gives it a stroke, and says, my darling, if you could do us a favor and simply traverse through, careful on your feet, and see how the floor is. And I imagine this cat comes in and it prowls, and its movements are similarly agile, although perhaps not as creative as Autumn's, as it goes onto the ice and starts to inspect its way towards the clear entrance.
Cool. And I think as the spectral cat makes its way through the entrance, it is the ground itself is shaky as expected, but even despite that, even a couple moments of concern where it seems like the floor may give way under the cat. The floor manages to keep its it manages to stay secure under its feet. There is no danger here, not yet.
Well, Autumn, after you.
You do realize that the panther wouldn't have been able to tell us if something was wrong, right?
No, but would have fallen through and disappeared.
Would it have? Was it not just an illusion?
No. No, that's a panther.
I see.
I trust him.
I trust him too.
It's not
Yeah.
like a summoned illusion, it's a summon straight up.
Then we shall proceed.
Does Autumn go
Cool.
first?
Autumn can go first. She doesn't have to open the next door. As we said, she opened the door to this room. So if she were to open the door to the next room, she will die. She can lead the way. If someone else wants to open the door to the next room, they can. But there's one more rule to engage with in this room. When you have engaged all of the highlighted elements, look back at the open door behind you. What do you see? I think as the party traverses down this pathway into the darkness of the dungeon, Autumn turns to look back for a moment, and she sees a heavy blizzard has just picked up. Outside of the entrance to this cave, it is whiteness. It is completely it is just impenetrable, freezing whiteness. There is no possible way we are going back out that way anytime soon.
Well, at least we got here when we did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Good of us to have missed that.
Are we ready then? Do we need to wait more before we move on?
I think it's time to just enter.
We should go.
What we came here for.
I think Lysander stares at the door.
We all just stare
we
at
all
the
stare
door.
at it for a moment.
Are you troubled by a door? Do you need assistance?
There is no door.
No. Would you like me to go first?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're strong. You should go first.
If you do not wish, I can.
Well, if I were to open this door and something needed to be slain beyond it, I would be unable to because I'd be opening the door.
Can you not multitask? You know what? I'll
This is-
have our wonderful companion. Let's call her Princess. I'll have Princess accompany at your side. And should
It's-
you need something mauled, Princess can maul it.
All right. And I think Lysander will grasp the handle for the next door and open it.
Great. So Lysander opens the door to the puzzle room. Tell us about the puzzle.
So the first rule of the puzzle is the first time you enter this room of this dungeon, answer the first question and highlight one element. I'm going to highlight. Let's see. Let me read them all really quick. Puzzle, a riddle, a task, strange tiles on the walls or floor, more questions than answers, an enigmatic old fool, fossilized dust. I think I'm going to highlight a task. So there is a task in this puzzle room. So let me highlight that. And then the first question is, what here is not what it appears to be? So I think when the room is entered, I think this is to set it up, you see a table. It is a long dining room table, and on one end is a bucket, and on the other end there are several jars filled with different colored liquids. And I think what is in this room that's not what it appears to be, is that the liquids in the jars are not what they look like they are. There's something else. So then rule 3 is the highlighted elements must be engaged. What does that look like? What do we do? And how do we feel? Which is in how we can deal with that. 4, 5, and 6 are all kind of important, so I'm going to read them now too. There's a puzzle to solve in this room. When you first enter the room, I say what it is, but do not say a solution. So that there's a puzzle in the room, and there is a bucket on one side of the table and a jar just filled with different color liquids on the one side. There is no right or wrong way to solve the puzzle. It may not even be a puzzle with a tangible solution or one that you can identify. And you must solve the puzzle before we can leave the room. So, that is your puzzle. I think Lysander walks in, looks at the puzzle on the table, this task put before us, and he's going to sigh heavily and sheath his sword. Perhaps this whole place is empty.
Yeah, this doesn't seem too bad.
Not at all.
I'm sure
fun.
the secrets are deeper within, and Kieran's gonna walk over to the bucket, just peering inside. You didn't mention there was anything in the bucket, but maybe we just couldn't see it from the door. So this is me asking if there's anything in the bucket.
Inside the bucket, there is just a white liquid.
Oh,
It's milky, kind of like if you think about watered down milk.
okay.
That's kind of what it looks like.
And is this a like a wooden bucket, like a well bucket, or is it like a metal?
I think it's like a metal wide bucket, like if you think about those ones people used to like wash their faces with.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Kieran will peer in and then look over to the other liquids and say, I suppose there's something we must do with these liquids, perhaps?
Yeah, perhaps they're some sort of potions or solutions to be mixed together. And Autumn is going to walk up. Did you say they were different colors, or?
Yeah. Yep.
What colors are they?
I think there is one for every color of the rainbow.
Oh, okay.
I would advise not to taste them.
Yes. Don't taste them.
No, I wasn't going to taste them.
They do smell nice. I think they smell like different kinds of drinks.
Autumn picks one of them up and smells it. And here's a thing that thieves can do. I don't know if you knew this. I have this really cool rule as a thief, as it turns out, called you can identify anything by its smell.
Of course.
Of course.
Everyone knows that thieves can
You
do
just
that.
have to smell treasure.
Yeah, exactly. So Autumn picks up let's say the orange one, and smells it, and immediately sets it down and says, that one's poison.
You should not drink the poison, Autumn.
No.
Please don't drink poison, Autumn. But why don't you identify some of the others, and it may give us a clue. And Varric will pick up a purple one and uncork it and waft it towards Autumn, so Autumn's not like bringing, so that Autumn's not directly like putting it up to their nose where it could like splash or God knows what.
Some science class going on.
Some science,
Always
science safety from the mage.
I think as that one wafts through the air, Autumn smells it. I did this to myself. I put myself in this position.
You did. You brought this upon yourself.
Autumn smells it and says, "Oh, that's just ale, but an odd color.
Purple ale.
But it's probably safe to drink.
Yeah.
So we could drink
But we
that.
probably shouldn't drink it. It might be part of the puzzle.
Well, yeah,
here.
he'll lay that to like the left side, and on the right side he has the poison. and he's just gonna start like going vial to vial.
Oh, and make sure you check the contents of this bucket as well.
Yes, in the bucket. So, all right, next one, red.
Uh, Autumn keeps smelling the liquids, and I think through this task, the solution to the puzzle would start to become evident. What do you think, Lysander? You control the
I
reality
think
of this
so.
room.
I think it
but-
does. I think you find that the purple one isn't poison, and the blue one isn't poison, and the red one isn't poison. And that all the other ones are poisons, even though they smell all like there's something that you should be able to drink.
Also, is there in this room, aside from where we entered, the door, does it look to be like locked or something?
I think
Magic lock.
I think the door across the way that would lead into the next room of our dungeon has in front of it like some flames. Like it's like almost like as if it's like a fireplace that we all realize we cannot stand in to open the door.
Okay.
At least not yet.
Okay, so it's probably a magic fire that we have to figure out what will put it out.
Or maybe if we drink one of these potions, then we will be protected, I suppose.
I think Lysander goes, just dump them all in the bucket and then we'll drink what's in the bucket.
Okay. Autumn starts dumping them in the bucket.
Maybe
Check what's in the bucket first.
Yeah, what's in the bucket?
I think it is in fact watered down milk, so it is something you could
nice.
drink.
All right.
But perhaps just maybe, if not all of the potion, like half of it, just
Sure.
in case.
She stops pouring the one she was pouring. That there's definitely a little more than half at that point, and
All right.
just very
Pr-
cautiously puts it back.
I think, yeah. Varric will kneel down and like scritch under Princess's chin and be like, "All right, Princess, lap up this a smidge, and then walk through the fire."
What is inside it? Only the things that are drinkable and not the
Yes.
poisons? Okay.
Yeah, we did not
I
put
think,
poison in there.
yeah, I think she licks it up and she goes and she walks into the fire and she's just standing in the fire. Like she's not on fire. She's safe from the fire.
Good ass.
She's just standing there. She just sits.
Good
And she
job,
seems-
Princess.
Okay.
Yeah, she seems fine. She lays
Okay.
down. She seems comfy.
Try to like licks a paw a little. You know.
Looks, yeah, you know, kitty.
Great. I think Kiernan will offer to drink it first, just in case anyone else had any other qualms about drinking it.
Yes, but why don't we pour a little bit more of the like the first vial, the rest of the first vial, and some of the second in.
Oh, I assumed this was after all of the.
Oh, have they
were
all
already
been?
mixed.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
the,
yeah, they've
the
all been-
drinkable ones.
Okay.
I think you guys we're all able to mix it. And if you would like to drink some, you can drink some.
Yeah, Kiernan will go first.
It tastes like your favorite drink, even if it doesn't smell that way.
Ooh,
Ooh, tea.
Autumn.
Kiernan loves tea.
Autumn will drink it after Kiernan and say, "Huh, kind of tastes like pumpkin. I like it.
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin juice or pumpkin ale."
Interesting.
Lysander will drink some and go, it tastes like water.
Water.
Varric looks at you all strangely and will take a sip and says, "No, no, no. It tastes like aged honey elven wine."
Well, some of us have a refined taste. I think Lysander chuckles.
Listen,
So
we
now we're
spent all
just-
night.
Are we just good now to go? Like, are we
think-
safe? We
I
safe?
think
Yeah.
so. I think we
I
solved it.
think Kiernan will go walk by the fire first, and like tentatively like reach a hand out towards it.
You're fine. You don't burn.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and there happy to take the full first step into the fire, just in case.
You feel the fire like on you, and it feels warm and comforting rather than burning.
Princess just gently baps at your knee.
Kieran will reach down and pet Princess, assuming Princess allows the pets.
Princess
And then she'll turn to the others and say, "All right, I believe we'll be safe then."
All right, that sounds good. Kieran, would you like to open the door, or shall I? Or
I don't mind. And she will reach out for the door and open it.
Perfect.
Cool. So Kieran, take us into the trick.
The trick. All right. The first time you enter this room of this dungeon, answer the first question and highlight one element. So we've got a bunch of options for elements here. And I think we are going to pick a trap from above. Highlight that. There's a question, the first question even, here that says, what here is not what it appears to be. So I think Kieran opens the door, and you see in this room a pretty bare, and tell me if I'm not allowed to do this, but you see a pretty bare room with it literally just seems to be like hewn stone walls, hewn stone ground, and it seems to be a clear shot just straight to the door, and even the door appears to be cracked ajar just a little tiny bit. So what I'm thinking is that the thing that is not what it appears to be is the door itself. It seems to be an easy walk across the room, but in theory, or not in theory, in reality, there's a trap hidden in it. Which, well, hold on, let me keep reading the rules.
Yeah.
Let's see. The highlighted elements must be engaged. What does that look like? What do we do? How do we feel? I'll get back to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is we are betrayed by deed, trap, or luck. We are set back by circumstances none of us could see, and now we must overcome additional obstacles. Cool. Should I keep reading them?
Yeah, go ahead and read the
Okay.
last two as well.
Okay. The last two are one of us is harmed by this trick. We must decide who. And the trick happens quickly, but its effects last much longer than an instant. Whoever is injured may set the terms for their recovery. Cool. So, I think the trap in this room is that once someone approaches the door on the other side, via a pressure plate, the door swings closed and locks, and then from the ceiling, it's the classic, like, slowly the ceiling drops and like spikes come out. So
Sure. The whole ceiling, or just like a panel?
I was thinking the whole ceiling, but
Okay.
we might all just get squished here unless we come up with a way not to. But I figured that could be a fun problem to try to solve.
Sure.
Oop.
Go ahead.
No, it's just an oop.
So one of us must be harmed by the trick, so I have an idea on how to resolve that and have the slow-moving ceiling. If I can, the thing I picture happening is Autumn sees this clear path straight towards the door, and just immediately starts tumbling over to it, not thinking. She
Wait.
steps. Yeah, she doesn't hear anyone call to wait. She steps on the pressure plate. The door swings shut, and she leaps acrobatically into the air in surprise and accidentally, like, I picture the ceiling isn't
Jam
super
herself
high. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
She
like
jams
she
herself against the
no,
spikes.
like almost wall jumps kind of, and like tries to steady herself against the ceiling to land back on her feet, but instead the spikes come out,
Oh,
get her hand, and she just crumples to the ground.
Oh no.
She's not
Oh.
dead, but she
She's
like
super
slowly pushes
injured.
herself back up, holding her hand.
I think Lysander will hold the he's gonna see all of that happen because it's like a cat that just gets spooked. I feel like it's just like right, it's like
Absolutely.
up and then it's down, and then I think I know this is like a weird time to use it because we also have to have the person be hurt, but I also think that we don't need to worry about the impending ceiling continuing to go down because I'm so strong. And Lysander's going to hold it up while we try to figure out what to do about Autumn on the ground. So I think he props himself up and he's just like, ugh.
Oh, you're so strong.
Yeah,
He's so very strong.
He's
Kiernan
so
will
strong.
definitely like rush over to Autumn's side. You said she crumbled to the ground, but is she like unconscious or is she just in shock?
If you do you want to use one of your rules?
No, I was just gonna perform some like basic like are you okay stabilization sort of thing.
Yeah, I think she's conscious, but she's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, and I think you Kiernan, like why can't I think of my own character's name here? Will take out a from a pouch on her hip, just take out a few, like a handful of leaves and kind of like mush them up in her hands and kind of apply it to the wound. And I think it's up to you because you get to decide how your recovery is, and it doesn't have to heal it, but even to maybe help the pain a little bit, and then she'll start to wrap it in like a bandage.
Yeah, I think the pain, the immediate throbbing pain starts to go away.
Yeah.
But she's gonna have to keep that bandage on.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Can we figure out how to open this door? I don't actually think I can hold this forever.
Yes, just give me a moment or two, please. And Varric is going to take a moment to sort of breathe. And if you spend a moment to breathe, you may choose up to 3 new spells. And so he's going to take a moment, and you watch as Princess does the reverse and like shifts into small, teeny kitten until Princess is gone, and Varric sort of wistfully smiles at what was once there. And then their eyes open up, and the color has shifted. And he's going to swing around one hand and look at both. He's going to look to where Lysander is, and then look to Autumn and Kiernan and say, Autumn and Kiernan, if you could do me the favor of just sort of standing under Lysander for but a moment. As he like also sort of approaches there.
Yeah, sure. And Kiernan will help Autumn up if she needs.
Yeah, I think Autumn steadies herself on a Kiernan for help getting under Lysander.
Reach a hand up, and from his hand a sort of dome almost appears, shielding around them in a small sort of circular way, while his other hand goes up and he completely shatters the ceiling. So all the spikes part, and just sort of leaves this sort of open area, like almost like other levels up that we cannot really see or figure out what it is.
It's beautiful.
It's amazing.
And and you said the shield like kind of like protects us from the
from all the falling debris. We're under this little shield, and then it shatters. And
Autumn starts to almost clap and then winces in pain as her hands touch.
Oh, careful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
okay.
work.
Yes, well done.
Mm-hmm. Your arm's okay, Lysander?
Yeah, I'm just tired now. Just a little bit, though.
He's very strong, after all.
I am very strong.
He is
I
very
did, and he like
strong.
takes.
That was really
he takes
impressive.
He takes one of the empty flasks that he had taken, an empty flask from the room, and filled it with that like milk ale drink, and was like, "Have a drink."
It was a lot better in the other room than it is now. That's bizarre.
That is interesting.
Well, it is magical.
It is magical, but come, let us continue. And Varric will reach forward and go to the last door. Or, well,
Okay.
the current
Second to last, yeah. Take us
second to
to
last door.
the
Is the
battle.
battle. So we enter the battle. 1. You are under attack, but you may not need to be violent in this room. 2. The first time you enter this room of this dungeon, answer the first question and circle one element. So I think I'm going to be a little kitschy first and give us our element first, which is a friend. It is a friend of ours, which is quite strange to see. And what unexpected power does your assailant wield? Well, this friend of ours has an icicle straight up through their middle, and theoretically should be dead. This was our 5th party member who we lost on the way up here.
Oh.
Oh shit! What
Kieran
was their name?
immediately feels terrible about themselves. So
Yikes.
here I am.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kieran tried to go back for them, but
And we just
there was
like, we
there was
can't.
like an avalanche or a snowfall.
an
And they were buried
avalanche.
under the snow.
There was an avalanche of snowfall, and there was nothing we could do as Nonagon Yacinder was impacted. by- was
What-
don't
What
you
was
laugh.
what was that name?
Nonagon Yacinder.
Why would you do
Nonagon.
that?
I'm writing it down at the bottom of our
no.
shared doc.
Rip.
Oh,
It's
Rube.
not gone.
Here's a
Nonagon
reference.
Yacinder. And so it seems like a sort of unexpected power.
But they're like alive? Like
They're
moving, or,
there.
like,
They're there
or-
and they're smiling at us and offering a hand because the unexpected power that they wield is hope.
Hope.
As they smile at us. Something in this room wants to kill you. Give it a name and a weapon. Does that need to be done right this second, or can that wait?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I suppose you
if-
control the reality of the
you-
room, so
You control
Yeah.
the reality. We know that's the
Alright.
rule. Go ahead and read the last rule, just so we have
That's
that
it.
there.
Good luck.
Perfect.
So yeah, Nonagon is there, and they're smiling at us with a hand outstretched, mirrored by sort of blood on their tunic and an icicle in their chest. But the longer we stare at them, the icicle seems to almost fade, and the wound seems to close. And they smile, and their other hand, there's a sort of water skin there, and they look at us warmly and they say, "Friends, it is such luck. I have found the treasure room, but behind me, I was coming forward to try and find you. When I had fallen, I ended up falling onto a ledge that crested towards the actual back of this dungeon, and I managed to sneak in my way and crawl over. Come now, friends. I see you two are injured, Autumn. There are drinks inside," and he like holds up this water skin again. "That will help heal all wounds. It is the treasure we are looking for." And the smile's just a little too wide, a little too bright. But it's your friend smiling, offering you a hand.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go.
Okay, because I think that Kiernan would have taken several very quick steps toward Nonagon and seemed to be about to say something. But then she pauses when she sees that kind of like creepy smile form on their face.
yeah, I think Lysander would have reached out to been like, "No, wait."
Wait.
Yeah, kind of like, "No, wait." Like the
Yeah.
like the hand out, like so you were like, so I accidentally like clothesline Kieran a little bit.
Yeah,
Like-
I think she kind of like walks into a little bit, but then like stops. How could this be? We couldn't find you.
The storm, it knocked me over, but blessedly, as I said, the shelf that I'd fallen upon, as I tumbled, it led to the back to the treasure room. He like points to this sort of almost beautifully gilded door. It almost looks like light is flashing out of the bottom, like a heavenly scent.
Ah.
You said they have like a big icicle in their chest, right?
But so it faded.
Oh, it
There was a big
faded.
ice
Faded,
on their
like
chest.
disappeared,
It
or
just
like
slowly
melted?
started to like almost like disappear and melt, and the wound seemed to close. And they're holding this open drink, and you can see there's sort of like an edge of something is on their lips. They look slightly ashen, but no, that's silly.
Yeah,
Come.
Autumn is scared and scarred. She is immediately like backing away from this, especially after the trick, the trap that she fell into. There is no trust here on her end.
Varric sort of smiles himself and is like, "This is great. I think Varric and Nonagon were very good friends. In fact, they might have been friends before all of you started traveling together." And he takes several steps forward, a look of relief on his face.
Wait,
Nonagon's,
Varric.
on the other hand, just open. Like, come
Varric.
to friend.
Varric, I don't think you should.
Varric.
It's Nonagon. It's our,
I don't remember this being something he could do. Heal wounds like that.
well, no, but he said it's the treasure.
Something's wrong. Something feels off.
We would have beaten him here. How was he ahead of us?
He said I fell in the right direction when I tumbled
His-
down the mountain.
This help that he's found, it's not natural. Look at him.
It's and Varric will take a moment and look, and Nonagon just still smiles, but it's you thought it was weird. No, it's just the same old smile, the smile he always has. I'm telling you, there's potions, and he like holds the skin again, and wondrous things galore in this treasure room. It's everything we could have thought we wanted and more. I was just going to try and find you, but come, we must all be together. And there's this beaming warmth there, that sensation of hope that sort of insidiously but pleasantly crawls and lingers towards it. Yes, this is what we want. We came here for untold treasures, and this is our friend, and we're so glad they're okay.
I think Lysander is gonna walk up towards Varric because it doesn't seem like Varric is operating with any sort of real I mean, I think like you said with this power, Varric is just kind of in the hope. Like this is what Varric wants it to be. So I think Lysander is gonna follow up and is going to, I think before he intervenes on Varric to Nonagon behalf, he's going to at least walk so he is close enough to investigate what looks like their friend.
Yeah, so as you take a look, Nonagon looks very similar, but when you focus, again, the grin is too sharp for a moment, but then it's back, and the lips, which were always done up in glorious makeup, are ashen, but maybe that's just the covering of, they said they drank this drink, and as you look, were they always this tall? And perhaps you gaze a little more and you see the room itself is slowly closing more, or is what's on the walls coming closer? Is there something on the walls? No, it's just the five of you in here.
Is the room changing? I think he looks backwards to, Kiernan and Autumn.
Do we
You
see
know-
it also? Sorry, go ahead.
There's a rule that thieves
I was gonna
have.
say, I heard thieves could do some really cool
Thieves
things. but I
can
had
do
a
some
feeling
really
that
cool
would
things.
be
You
one.
wouldn't know about it
I
because you're
wouldn't.
Too
not
hard.
thieves, and it's
Yeah.
secret. It's a lot of secrets that thieves keep. But every thief gets a special powder and a little bomb that they always have at their disposal. And Autumn has several on her. And she takes one of these powder bombs and throws it at the ground. And what this powder does is dispel any illusions in the room, so everything is displayed as it truly is.
Dang.
Does this simply
It's a very helpful anti-magic tool.
does it dispel just illusions or illusory magics?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
So
very good.
It's a very good bomb. These thieves are so talented.
Illusory magic is just a
So you
fancy
so
way
you
to say
look, and it looks like your friend, but suddenly, as this bomb goes off, the skin is so pallid. The icicle is still there, and you realize there is something operating the arms
Oh,
of your dead friend.
I hate
Okay, but it's
that.
definitely like
And there is
his
some-
body.
Oh yeah, it's definitely his straight up
Okay.
body. It's his dead body from the cliffside.
Great.
And
Yikes.
then you look around the room and you notice there are these sort of reptilian individuals, and they're just have been growing, and they've been feeding on both your sparks of hope and despair, and growing larger and taking up more
Wait a minute.
space within the room.
Hope and
It's kinda
despair,
like,
you say?
have you ever seen Monsters Inc? What's that guy? Randall? They look like
Uh-huh.
Randall.
Okay.
They were invisible on the wall,
Not
but now
Juco.
they're not Juco. And they were
Not
growing
Julius.
on the wall because they are in this room and they want to kill you, and they want to consume all the things that make you functioning people: your hope, your despair, your emotions. As one of them, like, sort of still puppets his body, is like, no, I'm your friend and it's fine.
I think Lysander is going to point his sword at one of these reptilian beings and goes, my god commands honesty in all things, and you have broken that. And I will declare that that particular reptilian being will die, and so it will. I may have to also help it die, so I'm going to attack it. I think he brings down his sword like he's smiting.
I think you go and you just hit it, and it's surprisingly easy to cut through this thing. You think that perhaps it has not nourished itself on enough hope and despair to actually be fully solid, and so it's easy to dismiss this one. As the Nonagon figure takes a step closer, and Varric takes several steps back, sort of shocked at, again, this falling apart, moving body, and the creature takes the body and shakes it at you and says, this is what you all become. This is the treasure at the end of the dungeon. The end of the dungeon is death. And it shakes it at you all, trying to amp up your fear and despair to feed itself.
Damn.
I think Autumn is going to. I'm realizing I didn't say this exactly, but the reason she has like these crazy acrobatic skills, the source of her power is an artifact. I think it's a, not a necklace, but a bracelet that she wears on her wrist that has magic power, and that's what gives her this crazy acrobatic ability. And she just does a full leap and flip over this Randall-looking monster and their dead friend, Nonagon.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know the reference.
Yep.
Not
I
again.
don't either, don't worry.
I mean, I know it now, but anyway, she does a flip over Nonagon in an effort to get to the door to throw it open and say, "Quickly, just go, just go, just go." And I'm trying to open the door to the next room because I don't think we have to.
You don't
Yeah,
have to.
have
we've
to.
engaged. We've engaged with the element. We don't have to destroy it.
Yeah, and these other
I-
Randalls are trying to come in. They're trying to get closer, and they're making jeering, taunting noises.
I have a question.
Mhm.
If Kiernan goes over to Nonagon and like tries to grab them, like, is there like resistance from whatever is puppeting them, or
Yeah, it's like a semi. It's definitely a smaller but more solidly formed lizard that is trying to operate this.
okay?
So
Because
there is some
Kiernan
resistance.
would like to give their friend a proper rest. So I think she's going to watch Autumn do her flip and get to the door. Watch Lysander totally like murder one of the lizard reptile things, and say, "We can't just leave him here."
No, you're right. We can't. And Varric will step closer and snap their fingers, and the little sort of lizard creature will get even littler and littler and smaller as it shrinks. And suddenly it's just like the size of an action figure, and it loses all of its grip. And you are able to hoist the dead body of your friend.
All right.
Now go. I think
Yeah,
Sure.
Varric will usher you forward.
I have a question real quick. Ashley, are you trying to use?
Yes, I would like to engage with an element from the heart. Is that what you thought I was trying to do?
Yeah. Go ahead and read the rule because I think.
Okay.
I think that's what's happening here, and
Yeah.
if that's the case, we have an edit to make.
Yeah. So, the rule is for the healer: if you engage with an element from the heart and find a profound change in your soul or the soul of a friend, you may erase that element from the room permanently. If this happens, cross off your active oath and choose a new one from the list. So I think that, like I said, she really wants to. She hates seeing her friend being used as bait, basically, and like defiled in such a way. So even if it's to bring them into the next room and properly dispose of the body in a way so that it can't be used in that way anymore, she's just really trying to get it away from that situation. So I mean, I think that fits.
Yeah.
So in that case, I will choose a cross off my active oath and choose a new one. So I have done my penance, and now I will have an oath of duty, I think.
Cool. And that element gets erased from this room permanently. So if you look on we're using a Google Doc to keep track of the rooms and the elements. I have stricken through a friend. So that element will not appear in this room next time we're here.
Good.
Yeah.
Give Nonagon the rest he deserves.
Absolutely. And Autumn opened the door to the next room, so yeah.
You've done it.
Well, that's also Autumn's second door because she opened the first
Yes,
door.
Autumn died.
So before we do that, before any death happens, we'll resolve the things that need to be resolved of the room. So this final room of the dungeon is the treasure at the end of this dungeon is an escape from this dungeon, and we will never escape from this dungeon. That is the room we are currently in. The first time you enter the room of this dungeon, answer the first question and highlight one element. I'm going to highlight... Let's go with a hint of sunlight.
Ooh.
I think as we enter this room, we see a crack in the ceiling above us, with rays of light pouring through it. Bright light, surprisingly bright light, considering the blizzard that we saw as we entered the dungeon proper. Very bright light, almost warm as we step into the rays that are peeking through the cracks. And the question is, what made you think you could escape from this dungeon? And I think the answer to that question is very simple. Just past the cracks where sunlight beats down on us, there is a chest that is opened with several potions inside, just as our puppeted friend told us. And right next to that, there is a rope ladder leading up and out of the dungeon. Well, let me read the rest of the rules to the room first. The highlighted elements must be engaged. What does that look like? What do we do? How do we feel? Number 4, something in this room hints at an escape from this dungeon. And number 5, you can never escape from this dungeon. And as Autumn steps closer to the ladder and the chest, deeper into this final room, this treasure room, I think she suddenly screams, and the wound on her hand that had been healing. Let me check our lines and veils real quick. Okay, it starts to... Something's starting to seep through the bandages. but it's not blood like you would expect. It's some sort of greenish, murky fluid that's starting to seep through the bandages and running down her arm. And she grips her hand as she screams, and then once again she's crumpled to the ground, but this time she does not move. She does not get back up.
Autumn.
Now, Kiernan will again rush to her side, and you can just hear her being like, no, and she looks at the wound and the like oozingness coming out of it. Now, would I be able to heal you through miraculous means? Does this count as once per room? Or does it not count because
So,
it's through a different rule?
Let me double check, because this was something that came up before when I played this. You may prevent another from dying if you ask them about what they cherish, but there's an explicit rule in the beginning about what happens when you open more than one door. So the phrasing at the beginning is, if any one of us opens more than one door, they will absolutely die.
Okay, that's fair.
So I think that's one of those things that it depends on how you interpret that phrasing. My interpretation of it,
I think she can die.
yeah.
As in, cannot be healed.
Yeah.
That is my interpretation of it. Yeah, that's fine. That doesn't mean that Kiernan doesn't try. And I think you see her hands start to get this like warm kind of golden glow around them as she's clearly trying to use whatever magical power she has to heal this very not natural wounds oozingness. But I think that despite her best efforts, you can still see that it is not working.
I think
Sure.
Varric will take several steps forward and gently pry Kiernan off of Autumn and huddle sort of them to their chests, and it's just like, so sorry. But you can't. It's not working.
What do you mean it's not working? It always works.
I have to try. I have to try.
You did. And Varric.
I won't let this happen again. And she's like trying to get out of
and Varric's
Varric's grasp.
holding you.
And like you can see these like tears kind of welling up. Yeah.
How hard are you struggling?
Well, how hard are you holding?
I think Varric's really holding you.
Yeah, so I think you're the one who's maybe being a little violent unbidden.
Well, I'm wondering that if it's violent unbidden or maybe my
If it's just emotional.
Well, yeah, if it's just emotional. But I was thinking, let me know if this is okay. I think you struggle so hard that Varric's not that strong, and you hit them. And I think this is how this is supposed to go. So let me know if this is not how it's supposed to go. And they let go of you, and in doing so, they lose their balance, fall back, and they cut themselves on a stone. And that cut starts to glow with the same green.
Okay.
Is that how this works? I think
It can be. I don't think there's anything in the rules dictating that needs to happen, but this is extremely narrative. If that's how you see the scene going, that's how the scene goes. But then this is an instant where Kiernan could absolutely heal you.
Yeah.
With her special rule, or his special rule. I think you said his and her. She did. Okay.
Yeah. And the green starts to grow again, similar to how it did. And you realize that maybe all injuries in this room, not great.
Except this time, Kiernan again rushes to the side. It's almost as if like she had been very emotional over not being able to heal, but like as soon as there's like another thing, it's like her mind goes into like, this is duty mode. Like I've got a task and I must complete it. And she quickly rushes over to heal that wound. Hopefully this time, since she's a little quicker, perhaps she's able to stop it before it spreads too far.
So you have to. Sorry.
No. You can go first.
I ask Varric what they cherish about the world.
Varric.
Is this an in-character question? Like, does?
Yeah, it can be.
Okay.
I think it's part of the healing.
Yeah, so I think she will kneel down, and again you see her hand start to glow, and she just says, "Come on, Varric. Remember everything that's great about this world."
And I think Varric sort of smiles and reaches a hand up and touches like the side of your face and looks to where sort of Nonagon is in the crumpled form of Autumn and Lysander so strong and stout and there. And he says, I treasure our party amongst all.
And I think like one hand is like kind of hovering over the cut on his cheek, you said, right?
Mhm.
And like the other hand kind of like very just gently like caresses the other less injured cheek. And you see there's like she smiles and like she's got tears in her eyes again. But I think that's a valid answer. So you get to not die.
No, I'm kidding.
Hey, it's still it could be a lie and valid. Whatever, it's fine.
I think while Kiernan is healing Varric, that Lysander is taking Autumn and is like trying to find some way, like in the sunlight, because it's coming through the ceiling. I think he's gonna lay both of his friends, because they're both his friends, I think, in the sunlight, because it being a rope ladder up makes it fairly unable to necessarily bring them, and also not knowing what this green ooze is feels like something we should not bring with us out of the dungeon, because we believe we are about to exit the dungeon.
Mhm.
And I think he's gonna look and he's like, we should take these potions and go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Kiernan takes another look at her fallen comrades, and there's like this expression on her face that's like disappointment, mostly in herself, clearly, but then it becomes kind of like resolute, like, we must go on, don't let this drag you down. And she'll take a look in the chest and see you said there was like an open chest with like potions in it, right?
Yep, open chest with several potions. Very, very nice looking potions, very expensive looking potions. At the very least, even if whatever's inside them is dangerous, they could probably be sold for a lot of gold.
And she'll just start stowing some away.
Yeah.
In theory, this is the treasure that we're here for, so.
Yeah, I think while Kiernan is doing that, Varric sort of smiles softly, like in a sad way, and says, at least we are not leaving them alone. They will have each other. And he like goes closer and he sort of takes their hands, Autumn's hands and Nonagon's hands, and interweaves them so that they're like holding hands, and puts them closer. And he looks at them both, and I think he takes Autumn's bracelet off and puts it in his pocket. And I think he takes perhaps some locket or something off of Nonagon, and looks towards Kiernan and Lysander. Do either of you have something to say? Knowing the insidious nature of this place, I will not leave them here, so I will take a moment to rise up something, and then we shall commence.
I think Lysander nods, and he will offer a prayer in a language that maybe we all understand it because of the world we're from. And it's to some god, probably a god of death, but not in like a violent death way, but in the like a ferryman kind of death way.
Mhm.
And I think Kiernan says a couple of words about their like accomplishments and like the effects that they've had on those around them, and then she at the end she apologizes for failing to do her duty.
Well, Varric will like clap Kieran on the shoulder when they say they failed, and said, "You did not fail. This is the life of those who delve dungeons." Autumn. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Autumn, your feat's amazed. I never knew being a thief could be so great and all the tasks you've learned and adjusted to, we would have been lost without you in so many places. And I thank you for what you've done. And Nonagon, you might not have made it in here with us, but it was your spirit that let us carry on. The hope that those creatures spoke of, you truly vastly held, even if they tried to use it for despair. And then he's taken a moment to breathe. Once everyone's had a second, he'll lift a hand up, and fire sort of gouts from his hand and slowly just burns away the corpses.
I think also I think it's an attempt to reassure Kieran. Whether or not it is actually reassuring or not is up to you. But I think Lysander will remind them that when it's time to die, it's time to die. And sometimes that is how it is, and we cannot stop the god of death forever.
I think she
Up you get.
comforted.
Yeah. Trying to go up the ladder.
Up you get. All right, let's go. Those creatures are
Sometimes-
still in that other room.
Sometimes you die.
Sometimes you live. Get up.
Shall I go first, or do you?
Um,
Does somebody else need help propping themselves up on this rope?
You should go first. I can fly out if I need to.
All right, and
Yeah,
I think
and I think
I'll help Kieran.
Kieran is I guess we never really described what our characters look like, but Kieran is definitely fit. It's almost like she was like a warrior medic, like a battlefield medic, like she was on the front lines doing that shit. So she can definitely hold her own physically.
all right. Well then, let us prepare. And I think he'll sheath his sword onto his back sheath, and he will start climbing the ladder.
That's what it looks like when you climb a ladder.
Yes, it is what it
So-
looks like.
Lysander is opening the next door.
Lysander is opening the next door.
Okay.
Great.
Why do you say great? It's fine.
Great.
You won't be super dead.
I
Don't
won't be
worry
super
about
dead.
it.
Oh, that's true. You'll be fine.
I'll be.
Let's see. What room do I want to go into next?
Yeah, so at this point, we've gone through all of the rooms. At this point, we can pick any room.
Pick any room.
Any
I
room.
think we
Even
climb
this room, if you want to.
even this room.
Yep.
Oh my god! Imagine
Just to be
False-
absolutely clear, we can end up back in this room if that's what you choose.
2 false endings just right in a row. Oof! It's like falsely waking up. I think we climb up this rope ladder, and we can see the sunlight still trickling in. And I do think, because I think there's something really actually poetic about this part, is I think we do end up crawling out, and we find ourselves in that first hallway that we walked up into. So we're going to be back in the Gatekeeper room.
Okay.
How does handling? Do you
Yeah.
determine how Autumn comes back, or do I determine
Yeah, I
how Autumn comes
think
back?
I think we can describe how we die, and I think we can describe how we come back when it happens. And I think as everyone steps out into the Gatekeeper room, and I realize how awful this is going to look after the experience with Nonagon. But Autumn crawls out with you. I don't think she even crawls out last. I think everyone crawls out, and then all of a sudden Autumn is between you, like she was there the whole time.
The autumn that we incinerated.
The Autumn that you incinerated, and Varric, she has her bracelet on her, and if you check your pocket, the bracelet's not there.
Oh, it's wild. All right. So, we find ourselves back in that first hallway. So I've highlighted a new question and a new element. Our new element is that there is a hidden entrance, and that we have to engage in these things. So our question is, who asked us to go into this dungeon? And I think we were all gathered by a somewhat mysterious benefactor. So we were not originally all friends, but we have become friends over this journey to this dungeon because it was probably very long and very treacherous because we lost one of our party members during it. And that if we could get through to the end of this dungeon and get a key that they wanted, that we could have every other potion, like all the other treasure
All
that
other
was in
treasure.
there.
Mhm.
So we walk in there, and I think we see that same route that we took before, but something we didn't notice this time, and maybe it's just because we all cried our eyes out about Autumn,
But she's okay.
but she's okay, is we see an archway that's covered in vines that we didn't notice before. And I think Lysander, when he gets up there, he narrowly dodges some very like haphazard falling debris that occurs because of the storm that we know is happening outside. So I need to cross off a rule because I would otherwise die.
Yeah. Which rule are you
Oh.
crossing off?
I think I'm going to cross off. You may use your strength to help the. I'm going to cross off. You may use your strength to help the group to overcome one element by saying we don't need that because I'm so strong.
Okay.
You're less strong now.
I'm less strong now. I think the debris that was falling hits him on the I think it hits him in the shoulder, and you can hear it kind of like sickeningly crunch. It doesn't sound. It's not so bad to negate to need healing, but it is something that he's tired from, obviously.
Now, when Autumn comes back, like, you described it, Zoe, as very much like this was a very odd thing for us to see, but like in character, this is very odd for us to see, right?
Yeah, everyone remembers her dying.
Okay.
You
She was
remember
dead, you burned her
incinerating
body.
her?
Okay.
Yeah. And now she's here.
Autumn. And I
Yeah.
think Kieran kind of like reaches out as if to like touch her to see if she's real, but then
Grabs
like
your hand.
yeah, remembers, like stops herself.
What are you doing?
Oh,
Why are you
no.
doing that?
What did you?
You were dead.
I burned your corpse.
No, I wasn't.
Are you an illusion, a trick of the light? And I think he's gonna like try to. I think he pushes her gently.
No,
He's not
where
doing violence, but
are we? Wait. And she like looks around her and says, how did we get? We were in the treasure room. What happened?
We climbed out and we came here, but you were dead. I tried to save you, but
She like looks at herself. I'm pretty sure I'm not dead.
I look for her hand. Is there a wound there?
No.
you were most certainly dead.
We spoke eulogies. You and Nonagon.
Why are you back and not them?
I think
Us,
Autumn
like
starts.
us in addition.
I think Autumn starts to look really upset and says, "This isn't funny. Why are you
I'm not
saying
joking.
this?
I
I
would
didn't
not
die.
joke about such a thing.
If I was dead, I wouldn't be here."
Autumn. You died, and we left the dungeon. Yet we did not leave the dungeon. We are at the front of the dungeon.
Yeah, it's not.
What?
There was sunlight in the last room, and there's no way for sun to enter here.
Not with that blazing blizzard.
Is the blizzard still raging?
The blizzard is still raging, and it's obvious that it would be very unwise to try to
Yeah.
Leave.
leave.
Autumn looks out and says, No, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing the sunlight. I just don't remember
You
coming
fell.
here.
Something started to grow. Your wound. It wasn't right. You died.
Some pestilence. I couldn't heal it. I'm sorry, Autumn.
You don't remember?
I don't remember because nothing happened.
No, something happened. I think
I don't want to talk about this anymore. This is starting to freak me out, and I don't like it. I don't know what you all think you saw. Maybe there was like some sort of weird gas or a hallucinogen
Do you-
down there?
Do you remember the room with the ceiling?
Yeah.
That came down upon us. Remember when your hands?
Uh-huh.
And Kiernan will gesture to where Autumn's hand should have been injured, but
And Autumn
wasn't
looks at her
anymore.
hand, and her eyes just kind of like blue screen for a moment.
the
Autumn,
like
that
mouth
echo.
symbols appear.
Autumn, maybe come here for a moment, and he'll take your hand and he'll place it upon his forehead. I'm gonna have fun with this because, as we all know, spells do marvelous things, and there aren't hard or fast rules. So I'd like to grow your mind to feel what my mind feels
Ooh.
and sees, so
that's
that you
spicy.
can see what
I
I
love
saw.
that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like grow and expand your mind against my own mind. So that
Yeah.
you see you're dying. I'm traumatized or simulated. You see
Yeah.
yourself dying. You see Kiernan and I. You see the cut on my cheek, but Kiernan saving you. You see me, the eulogy I give. You and Nonagon holding hands, incinerating the body. Me leaving last as we escape towards the sunlight.
Autumn pulls her hand back and starts crying.
Autumn, no, you're here now, and that's what matters. Obviously, the god of death has deemed it not your time.
Are you sure?
You were-
What if I'm like not again? And what if one of the
No.
reptiles are?
No.
Nonagon was dead.
Nonagon was a dead body just being puppeted. And look, and he'll like go behind you and like pat you down. No lizard man here puppeting you.
Okay.
There was no
I-
Nonagon. It was just a body.
I think she takes a deep breath and says, "Well, okay, that's fine. That's fine then. Everything's fine. So we probably just went the wrong way in the dungeon, and it just led us in a loop. We just need to go again and find the way out, and it'll be fine. Everything's gonna be fine."
Right,
Everything
yes.
is going to be fine.
It'll be all right. And I think he's gonna put his hand Varric back in his pocket because the bracelet's gone, but he still have Nonagon's necklace.
I think so.
Okay.
Not
I think-
didn't come back to life. That's for sure.
Nonagon didn't come back to life, yeah.
Lysander, I think, will start to walk down the hallway that they already did, the clear sight into this dungeon beyond, and I think he looks back, and he's like, it looks exactly the same this way.
All right. Maybe we should try a different way then. And he looks around. What about that? I mean, it's very strange that there are vines growing there, but it's a magic-ridden dungeon. And they'll point out that really newly shown released hidden entrance.
That seems better, perhaps the road less traveled and all.
Yes, perhaps the road less traveled.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I can go first if you would wish.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should remove the vines first.
Yes.
Ah,
Right.
yes. Could you help, perhaps?
Yeah, I think Lysander can like cut some of the vines off so we can get through.
And Kiernan is leading the way.
Yep.
I can't do it.
Okay.
Oh,
Before we do that, Lysander.
Yes, before we do that, the last question is: when we have engaged all the highlighted elements, look back to the open door behind you, and what do you see? I think when you look behind you as we're going through this door, is this the open door behind you? Our door, the door from the Gatekeeper, like the one we're just crossing right now, right?
In this instance, yes, I would believe that is the case.
I think as we enter and we look back because we expect to see that like hallway we were just in before, I think we just see it all fade to black. Like it just becomes void behind us
Yikes.
because we did not
Right.
escape the dungeon and we'll never escape the dungeon.
Joy to the world.
Cool. Kiernan, take us into the next room. Where are we at now?
It is 9:30. I didn't know if you had a plan.
I do have a plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool,
Well,
so-
yeah, I have a plan. It's coming up. I promise.
Great. Well, I just wanted to check because
Yes. Thank you. though.
So I
appreciate
think we push past some of these vines, and I think we are going to go to the battle.
Ooh,
Okay.
this is an awful place for you to die. Thanks.
And so let me read the rules for that. The first rule is you are under attack, but you may not need to be violent in this room. Skip the first time. Every time you re-enter this room of this dungeon, answer another question. If there are any unanswered questions left, encircle another element. If there are any uncircled elements left. So I think, let's see. Let's do this question. This seems fun. Don't worry, friends. I'll say what it is. And let's just do. We'll just do this.
Teeth.
So, yeah. So the element that we'll do is teeth, and the question that I highlighted is what will happen if they kill you. So I think, in this room, you see the room that had the lizard reptile things in them, and they are still there. This time though, when you look in, you can see that they are all visible immediately, and you just, well, I guess out of character, what will happen if they kill you is that they will forever be able to, like a chameleon, kind of like take your form, and they get your, they don't necessarily steal, but they like copy your like memories and like abilities, and like if they kill you, they like assimilate that stuff into their toolbox to be able to use it in the future. So obviously you can still quote unquote respawn, but you know, that's fun. So and these things also have very scary teeth. So very sharp and very scary teeth, and I think they're kind of like always or almost always kind of like dripping with blood, even though it might not be clear where that blood came from. So the next rule is circle elements must be engaged. What does that look like? What do we do? How do we feel? Something in this room wants to kill you. Give it a name and a weapon. I think that's pretty clear. It's the reptile things, and they have spooky
The Randalls.
teeth. And that's it. Good luck.
And you said, just real quick, for my own bad attention span, you said they were more like lizard things?
Yeah, they're the same Randall
Yeah. Okay.
things.
The Lord Randalls.
And then one more question: how does Kieran die in this room?
Yeah, so I think that it is she steps into this room very cautiously, and I know I said at first they're all visible immediately, but I lied. Clearly that's not what happened. And it seems like there's nothing in this room, but as she makes it to the middle of the room, one of these things like materializes, like comes unvisible or revisible, uninvisible, revisible right next to her, and you just watch as its jaws open wide, and it bears its like terrible, terrifying, sharp teeth that are already dripping in blood, and just buries them in her neck where there is no armor there, and like rips its head back and just like rips her throat out.
And with the healer dead and facing off against these awful toothy chameleons, that's where we will take our break. So we will come back into the battle room. Sans Kieran, sans healer. What will happen? People are probably going to die. I'd bet.
I bet.
So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Yeah, about 5 minutes.
We'll be back.
So stay tuned. are back. Before we continue with the game, I want to remind everyone real quick, since there was a donation, we are raising money to help our friend Lucian out with top surgery, insurance shenanigans. You can go to this link to donate. The incentives are also here as well. $20 to choose an additional element for the room, $30 to choose which room we enter, $50 to make me finish a drink, and $100 to kill or protect a character from death. Also, we have a sponsor. We're sponsored by Gallo. They make game-focused plant-based supplements. And I took their Q Focus before this, and let me tell you, I am zeroed in on everything. I almost took Q Sleep because I accidentally put them next to each other. So remember to read your labels. But yeah, Q Sleep is also very good, and Q Focus is very good. I haven't tried the other ones, but other people who have tried them tell me they're very good. So yeah. All right, getting back into it, we are in the battle room. Kiernan, our healer, has just been brutally murdered. I think
the
Autumn
things that you
screams.
didn't want them to kill you, but now she's super dead.
Yeah. Does it immediately change?
No, I think it like takes like a little while for them to like fully absorb the powers.
Sure.
But
I think
fine.
Lysander will yell in anger and point his sword at that particular now villain and go, "You will die here in this room." And because I command death, whenever I declare that something will die, they do. So I think he's gonna rush the one that just killed his friend.
Yeah, I mean, you kill him. Feel free to describe that as much as you want.
I think he brings his sword down, and unlike most of the time that they've been in this dungeon, where he's been kind of like, I'm only going to do, like, I think where he's generally very, I want to say controlled. I think this time, I think this time he is a little like more berserker about it. I think his sword goes in once, and then it comes out, and it's just overkill. And he's just like, "You will pay for what you did to my friend."
And
Autumn
Kieran's
is
body totally
silly.
just like flops over, super dead.
I think Autumn runs to check Kieran's body as it falls, to see if there's any hope of resuscitating them with what little knowledge they have in that. Presumably it's pretty obvious that she's beyond help.
Yeah, no, there's like a already like very alarming like pool of blood growing, and like her eyes like are just kind of staring off into distance.
Yeah. How many of these things are there in the room?
I
Several,
didn't
at least?
specify. Yeah, definitely several.
Yeah, cool. Thieves have a really interesting role.
I
I don't
heard.
know if y'all have heard about this, but thieves have a really cool rule where whenever one of their allies is killed, they are able to return the favor immediately. Backstab. As a backstab, yeah. That's exactly what they call it. They call it the old backstab. So as Autumn is knelt over Kiernan's body, they whip around to look at one of the other I'm not calling them Randalls, one of the other reptile people, and chucks a dagger at it, sticking it in the throat.
There's like as it like lodges itself, or the dagger lodges in its throat, and there's like this unpleasant gurgling noise as it kind of like flops over and dies.
I want you to know I wrote that rule down as the old backstab.
Good.
It's a good one. Varric, seeing this, is also completely incensed, and they go to cast something at first when Lysander did something, but they're choked up so much that they can't speak. The words aren't there, and they have to take a deep breath and clear themselves as they just throw their hand out and yell in a language unfamiliar to you all, and on the point of each of their finger, a small globe of light sort of sparks. Looks like light, but then you realize it's not light, as it sparked of pure electric power, and they piston out in several directions, like magic missiles, latching onto these Randals, glowing on them, and then popping and sparking, electrocuting them.
I mean, I don't think is there any rule that says they can't die? I imagine they just die.
Yeah, no, they just die.
There is more, though. There's always more. I mean, maybe you don't see them here,
Yeah.
but
I think as Autumn like looks around her and like tries to pick up Kiernan's body, but it's too heavy for her. I think Autumn's not very strong. She's a thief. She's agile. She can't lift. And she looks at Lysander. She does not lift. And she looks at Lysander and says, "We should bring their body. We should go. We should keep going. We should keep moving before more."
Yes, we need to go. We need to get out of here. And while there aren't any currently seemingly surrounding, I think Varric, since he has his arms free and is close, rushes up to the next door and just wrenches it open.
I think then at that, I think we need to bring them. We need to bring them. Like when Autumn's doing that, I think that breaks Lysander out of his like berserker incensed overkilling of everything around him, and I think he bends down and picks up Kiernan and throws her over his shoulder as he then he's like this with his weapon in one arm and his with her in the other, with his friend in the other, as he goes towards the door, very determinedly walking through it with everybody else.
Yeah, Autumn follows right behind.
you get a nice dribble of Kiernan blood down your back as you throw her over your shoulder.
Oh, it's gonna be wild in the next room because she's back in the next room.
Yeah, Varric, where are you taking us?
So we are taken to the trick. Should I reread the rules or just the ones that apply?
The ones that apply.
Okay.
But first, before you do that, is Kiernan back? They could also show
Can
up later.
Decide after
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
say the trick. Yeah, describe the
Absolutely.
room first, and then
Yeah.
we'll see if she's back.
So we're re-entering this room, and we are going to answer another question and highlight another element. So the question we are going to ask is finding the treasure at the end of this dungeon worth this? And as they go into the room, the element we are going to engage in is a knife in the back. And we are betrayed by deed, trap, or luck. We are set back by circumstances none of us could see. And now we must overcome additional obstacles. And I think as we start to go into this room, you just hear a cry. As suddenly we look back and we thought we'd killed all the Randals, but there's one that shifts and takes on the form of Princess? But its claws are not claws, but long, dagger-like knives. And it smacks one right into Varric's chest, in his heart. And he just topples into the room.
Varric!
As you look around the room, there is no obvious door, but there does seem to be the sound of whirring, as slowly but surely, from behind the wall that you guys have behind, sections start to move. Small bricks. And as these bricks move, knives start to launch themselves from behind you.
I think that if this is something that Autumn could not dodge, Lysander will jump in front of them, because any time a friend would be hurt, I can easily jump in front and take the blow instead.
Okay.
Also, I don't think Kiernan comes back in this room.
God, just the two of us.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay.
There's no time.
Um, that's fair. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Oh, yikes!
Oh, that's
Not the two
interesting.
of us.
Okay. Is that something that you think would kill you? Do you need to use one of your rules to stay alive? I think he might a knife in the back. he
Yeah,
might
I was gonna
need
say this
to.
is a lot of knives, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
And if
think
you're
he's-
completely shielding Autumn.
Yeah, I think because he'll shield Autumn through this room, I think I will cross off a rule, which it will be anytime a friend would be hurt, you may take this, the last one of this rule.
That
All of you need to cease
that makes
dying.
sense. Which
Yeah.
you have command death left, right?
Yeah, I have command death left.
Yike.
I think when he's starting to take the blows, he's like, I won't lose you too. Because it's just the
Autumn-
two of them, and
Yeah.
he's like, and now he's like trying to reach to Varric to like also bring Varric, because this is so sad. It's
Do we
just
still
us
have-
two.
Do we still have Kiernan's body with us?
Yeah,
Or has
we
Kiernan's
do.
body disappeared?
No, I think it's still. I mean, assuming you haven't like tossed it or anything.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
you're wondering, is finding the treasure at the end of this dungeon worth this? As you turn to pick up Varric's body, and suddenly another section of the wall, because now your back is facing that, starts to launch knives as well.
My goodness.
Dang, better find the door.
Well,
But you notice as the knives launch, there's space, and if only you could lodge something in that space to prevent movement. Maybe there's
Uh-huh.
something there, even though you don't see a visible door.
yeah. But just a reminder, you get to answer the question: is finding the treasure at the end of the dungeon worth this? Do you have an answer yet, or are you waiting?
There is no answer yet.
Okay.
As you go through this, you'll find out.
Well, thieves have a really cool rule.
I've heard.
Called perfect precision. And Autumn takes out another one of her daggers as these other knives start to come out. Because Lysander probably doesn't have enough time to jump in front of her again. And Autumn doesn't want her to have to, so she chucks a dagger at this space in the wall. It sails perfectly, with perfect precision, you might say, through the hailstorm of daggers coming towards them, and hits the spot in the wall perfectly.
Yeah, and so it lodges in this wall, and you realize it's the start of a panel. If you can do this several more times, and as you turn, again, more knives launch, you can break through the entrance to hold it up long enough. But you have to be careful, because if your back faces that wall, then it's going to start moving blocks again.
I think he picks up Varric, and as much as he hates doing what he's doing, I think he's kind of vaguely. Oh, this is so bad. I think he's vaguely
the
using their
bodies.
bodies to help them
Yes.
both get out of this room.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Autumn keeps throwing daggers at the other spots in the wall to try to get it to stop.
Yeah, and you're getting it. And as you turn, several daggers, I think, come through. Maybe they just like gently slice you as you realize, is this all really worth it? You've already lost a friend, and now you're using the bodies of your other friends. What would your god of death even think, sacrimoniously using them as shields? As knives fly into them and gently cut you, but you're finally able to make an illuminated entrance into another room, into another space, as you get through a knife in the back. And is it really worth it? Nobody knows. You have yet to really see the treasure at the end of this dungeon.
Treasure is the friends we made along the way.
That are all dead and being used as human meat shields.
Yep.
Dang.
Aw.
Dang,
I
dang,
think
dang.
Lysander's like, open the door. I don't have a hand.
Yeah, Autumn will throw the door open and run into the next room. And this is her first room since coming back to life, I believe. And we find ourselves in the treasure room. The room known as the treasure at the end of this dungeon is an escape from this dungeon, and we will never escape from this dungeon. And every time you re-enter the room of this dungeon, answer another question and highlight another element. We still have a hint of sunlight. I think the room looks very similar to how it was at the beginning. Except this time, the chest against the wall. Well, first off, there's not just one chest anymore. There are multiple chests, and they are all closed and locked. There are still rays of sunlight peeking in through the cracks of the ceiling. But not only that, ooh. Okay. I have something interesting I want to do here, but I think it's going to require buy-in from everyone else.
You have my buy-in.
And what I want is
Don't even
the
know.
element cherishing what you have in the face of destruction.
Ooh.
As I think the roof starts to cave in around us
Oh boy.
as we enter this room.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are the ashes of Nonagon's body there, or a body there, or nothing?
I think the ashes are there. The ashes are still there. This is definitely the same room, even though it's different. The ashes make it clear this is still the same room somehow. And basically,
Dang.
what I think is interesting to happen here, since Carrion is still dead and Varric just died and hasn't seemed to come back yet, if in this room Autumn and Lysander die,
I think that would
and
be
then
pretty cool.
and then whoever wants to can take control of the next room. But like this cycle ending in the treasure room
Yeah.
ends with all of us dying and then coming
Oh my
back wherever we
goodness.
come back at.
Yeah,
I
no,
like
And having
that.
to deal with that. Okay.
I think
cool.
it would be a very
Yeah, that's my interpretation of cherishing what you have in the face of destruction. So something in this room hints at an escape from this dungeon. You can never escape from this dungeon. The rope ladder is there, just as it was before. But as the roof starts to cave in, as Lysander and Autumn enter this room, the rope ladder just falls to a pathetic pile on the ground. And wind from the blizzard starts to overtake the rays of sun that were there before. Nonagon's ashes get swept away in the blizzard, and Autumn just turns and looks at Lysander and just throws her arms around him and hugs him tight.
I think he will. Well, he's carrying two dead bodies, so I think he puts them down before that happens. Before he gets
Oh, sure, right. Yeah.
Before he gets grasped, I think he returns the hug but lowers them to the ground, so he's like somewhat hunched over her, so that at least the first things of the falling debris aren't hitting her on the head, and that's he's gonna do his best to protect her, even though he knows that it's just
Futile.
time. Yeah, he
Yeah.
knows that all it's doing is delaying the inevitable, but I think he tries anyway, because I think he'll start praying but also say, I won't lose you too.
So I say the rest of us die, but Lysander, you still have one more roll you can cross off, right?
Yep, I do. I do.
Or you could just die, right? You don't have to. I don't know what the rule is.
The rule is you do not die,
Oh,
even when
okay.
opening
So I
doors.
guess you
Instead,
don't die.
Yep, I have to wait till I have to.
Oh,
It says when
no.
this is the only rule left, you meet your gruesome end.
Yeah.
So is that when I would
here's-
hit it again? Because that's what I read it as.
Is when you would what?
When I would die again, and that's the only rule that I
Uh-huh.
could cross out. then I
The
get.
fourth, you have 4 rules, right? 1, 2,
Yeah.
3. Yeah, so the 4th time you would die is when you actually die.
Oh my
but
god, and
here's-
he
here's-
lives through it. Oh
Here's
boy.
an interesting thing. He lives through it, and then he's the only one left to go through another door.
Oh, they're all
He
gonna
lives
come back to
through
his
it.
dead friend.
Isn't he?
Dang.
Yeah. I
So
love
the
it,
rocks,
though.
the rocks
Dungeon
continue to
sucks.
crumble around them, and I think Autumn, you're huddled around Autumn, trying to keep her safe, but an errant rock just strikes her and she falls, just like she did the last time they were in this room. Kiernan and Varric still are dead next to you, and eventually the ceiling stops caving in. Strangely enough, despite the blizzard and the sunlight that had been there before, there doesn't really seem to be a way to get out through going up. But what you do see as the destruction finally comes to a stop is a small trapdoor that the rubble missed somehow.
Did you want to answer your question?
Oh,
Did you want to
yes,
answer the
I'm
question?
so sorry. Thank you.
It's
Thank you
okay.
for reminding me. Who made you feel alive? Who? That's a hard question. And a very personal question too, which is why I like this room. The questions are very personal compared to the others. But I think in this instance, for Autumn, right before she dies, she thinks of all of them, everyone who's in the dungeon with her. She thinks of Varric, who helped her realize what had happened to her when she didn't remember. She thinks of Kieran trying to save her, trying to save everyone, only to end up being unable to be saved herself. She thinks of Lysander standing in the way between everyone and the dangers coming towards them. And those are her last thoughts before that rock makes contact with her.
Damn, that's so
She
sad.
did not think of Nonigan. Nonigan.
Was
That's so
technically
sad.
The recent memories of Nonigan are bad ones, and she's trying not to think about them.
Oh boy, that's so sad. This is
Yeah.
also, oh my goodness. Okay. So I think, the rubble finally stops eventually. And I think he goes to like obviously shake whatever he can off of himself.
Mhm.
And he goes to check on Autumn, who I don't think he realized, passed while this whole thing was happening, because he was probably focusing on praying / et cetera, et cetera. And I think he frowns, and it seems like he was trying to hold some sort of composure for some sort of reason until there's like, because it's obviously a cinematic view because I'm the only one there. I think eventually he realizes that there's no one to be hiding his grief from, and I think he just cries. I think he just loses it for a little bit. I think he tries to like unbury all the bodies, but he's also like, they're all mangled and such from the rubble, and I think he decides it's probably just better to leave them because he doesn't know how stable this room is when he spots the trapdoor. And I think he yoinks it open, and he's just like, what is this dungeon, as he goes through the next door into the next room.
And what room are you taking us into?
Taking us into the trick.
Oh no.
I'm taking
this
us.
is not a very nice dungeon.
I
tell you.
think at this point everyone is back as we enter the trick.
I think that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
I think when you guys want to say how you come back into this room before I describe to you everything else, or do you want me to do the rules first?
I was thinking that because I know that when Autumn came back, she was like entering the room with them. I don't remember if there's like a room or a rule
No,
like
there's
that
not.
requires that.
Nope.
But okay, because I was thinking maybe Kieran was like just in the room, like he went in the room and she's there already.
Okay. Does anybody
But
else?
that's just for me. Y'all make your own decisions.
I think there's a noise shortly after Lysander gets into the room, and he looks behind him and sees Autumn pulling herself down through the trapdoor. Suddenly perfectly fine. Looking a little dazed and confused and not sure what just happened.
And I think Varric is not there upon first glance.
Okay. So I highlighted my new element and my new question, which is a curse. And how the new question will be, how can you prevent this sort of thing from happening again? Which I'll answer as we get out of this room, because I think that's a get out of this room sort of answer question.
Sure.
So I think, Lysander comes through the trapdoor and, sees Kiernan and just smiles. And I think he runs up, and there's a moment where he like stops moving for a second, and he wants to be skeptical, but I think instead he just runs and hugs her, because he's just like, wow, they're back, somebody's back. This is not the first time somebody's come back. I get it. So I think he hugs her, and he's like, we have to get out of this dungeon.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, 'cause he's gotta die. I'm sorry. I think you're gonna get hugged, and then he's gonna die.
Dang.
I think. So to remember the other rules is we were betrayed by deed, trap, or luck. We're set back by circumstances none of us could have seen, and we must overcome additional obstacles. And one of us is harmed by this trick. We must decide who. And the trick happens quickly, but its effects last for much longer than an instant. Whoever is injured may set the terms for their recovery. So we'll have to make sure we address those. But I think you hear like a whooshing sound, and like a small exhale as he hugs her, and I think she can probably feel like blood coming out of his clothing onto her clothing and onto her hands, because this is an embrace. And I think he just starts to slump in her grasp.
So that's what starts to happen.
Oh boy, that's what starts to happen.
But someone paid us money for Lysander not to die.
Ooh.
Ooh. Spicy.
Save the baby.
So,
Do you want to narrate how he not dies, or should Lucian, or should I, or should you? I don't know. I don't have.
I think what Lucian just described starts to happen. Blood starts to seep out. He starts to slump over, and then there is the sound of bells, like almost like very like this is like a weird ice dungeon, and you know how there's a very specific type of bell sound associated with like ice levels and stuff, like those high chimes.
Yeah.
It's those kind of bells that ring through the air as the scene that started to play out just suddenly reverses. And Kieran, you see it happening.
Like I see it like
you are not reversing, but you see things just like
almost
as if time is being twisted back by some strange, surprisingly benevolent
yeah,
force
I was gonna say something.
in this absolute nightmare. They're Fey bells. They are Fey bells. There you go.
Great. So like I think when Lysander first hugged Kiernan, she was a little stiff at first because she's like, oh, I guess I am back. Like this is weird. And then when she feels him start to like collapse, she like quickly brings up her arms and like supports him and is just like, wait, no. And then slowly or quickly maybe things start to go back in reverse, and I assume he is not dead, standing in front of her again, and she's like, oh my god, Lysander, are you okay?
I think he looks at her because I don't think he remembers the fact that he just got knifed in the back, and I think you start to hear the sound of the knife like throwing trap start to go again. But this time she could stop it.
Oh.
Yeah, like Kiernan could say duck, or like
I was like, wait,
just lets it happen.
Just lets it
actually
happen.
just die instead. It's fine. No.
I mean, you only get one. You only get the one save.
Yeah,
It's true, but I think she will I imagined her as actually, and this is I promise this is how I've imagined her. It's not just because there's a knife in the back trick. I imagine she like carried a shield on her back, like, and I think she quickly kind of like grabs Lysander and does like a 180, like you go here where I was just standing, and I'll stand here.
And you hear the knife go like clink, right? Because I hit it and then falls to the side. And I think he's like, "Where's everybody else?"
Autumn. is
Yeah,
right
Autumn.
there, I
Autumn kind of
guess.
stumbles forward, like holding her head, and says, "It happened again. I remember it. I remember it this time. I remember a rock hitting me. I remember being dead. I remember being dead, and now I'm not dead. What is happening? Why is this happening?
It's this dungeon. I think is a cursed place.
And
Why do I
think as
remember it
you-
now?"
As you say that, I think from where the knives were coming through stumbles Varric, who's just full of knives, but is like just starts like he's like has a hand on his head, but then just starts pulling knives out, and they're just little cuts all over his body, like little
Tiny
slits,
knives.
almost like we're in like what's that like game where you just slowly put in like the little knives and try not to hit the. Yeah, it's like
I know
that.
what you're talking about.
It's like that as he like slowly pulls out these knives, and he looks like just dazed and confused, and the wounds aren't bleeding, but there's just like little slits as if knives go here, as he just like starts pulling them out from all over his body.
Would you say that you are the one harmed by this trick?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's been harmed by this trick and being carried through knife zone and getting the knife to the back.
So you know, it might just be the trauma of coming back and then immediately getting, knifed a bunch.
Again.
Yeah, it lasts for much longer than instant. You set the terms for their recovery. We have to still deal with the trap from above. I think he looks at everybody though, Lysander, and it's like, "You're all back. Oh my god." I think he starts crying again, which is probably now a new sight to everyone.
What do you mean back? And
You-
Varric this time looks confused and is like looking at these wounds on himself. Were we
You're all-
attacked by bandits at the top of the mountain?
No, you all died in this cursed ass dungeon. I think he's just like, what is this eternal punishment? I think he's just like looking at everybody, and he's just like trying to bring everybody in.
We haven't been here that long, right?
It's,
Right?
It's only the
There's-
third day of Margulies.
Feels like forever. You guys, we've been through this whole dungeon more than once.
Look. I know it's hard, and I know that it's weird and accursed, like you said, but we're all here now, right? I mean, we just need to keep going together. And I know as long as we're together, then we can figure something out.
We're almost all here, Varric reminds, and he actually will pull out that necklace and put it on himself this time, that Nanagon would wear, the little heart necklace.
I think as everybody's
Yeah,
trying
this is
to,
over here. Gosh.
I think as everybody's trying to kind of compose themselves, because obviously now we're all freaking out. From the side, that the door that like Lysander had entered in, you hear the door close, and you can hear a slit in the roof open, as from it descends a pendulum, very like Occam's razor kind of style pendulum, right? That just kind of starts like a big scythe pendulum that kind of just starts going back and forth, and it kind of starts like progressing through the room like this, ushering us towards what we like, to the other side, but we have to find the door. And then he's like, we can't stay here, we have to go.
How?
We gotta find the door. I don't know where the door is.
Actually, wait. I can do something for this. What is the pendulum on? Like, what is the apparatus swinging it? Is it like metal?
Yeah, I think it's like one of those metal, like very stereotypical, like ones where it's like a line, and like this is the blade, and it's like this, and it's just like whoosh, 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 whoosh.
And it's just like, is it coming through like a hole in the ceiling?
Yeah, it's like it's going back and forth, and then it's also moving on a track,
Okay,
like through the room.
great. Autumn says, "Hold on, just go stand on that side of the room. I got this." And she's going to jump up to the top. And I don't know if y'all know this about thieves.
Ooh. Tell
but they
me
have
about thieves.
They have a lot of handy things they can do. And one of those things is, well, we all know thieves have thieves' tools, right?
Yeah.
And we all know that thieves will always have the exact tool they need for the exact occasion, and that's the rule. The right tool for the right occasion. And Autumn pulls out a I don't want to say screwdriver. It's not a screwdriver. but it is some small metalworking device that she leaps to the top of the pendulum and starts like. It might even be like some kind of like part crowbar, part screwdriver that she's just using to try to dismantle what's fixing the pendulum
Like
to
a
the
pry
track.
bar or something.
Is it the
Yeah.
right size for what you need to do, Autumn?
Yes,
Okay.
I think you hear it.
I always have the right tool
I think you
for the
hear
right
it start to-
occasion.
for the right occasion. I think you hear it start to like as you like loosen and futz with it, it starts to like make the sounds of, you know, like it coming off of its track, and eventually you have a moment where it's like just loose enough where you're like, oh my god, it's gonna go flying and it's gonna hit somebody randomly. Oh my god. And then you're lucky because you told everybody to go, you know, go to the other side of the room. So it like kind of flings across the wall, but not hitting anybody as it tumbles to the ground. Out the really loud metal on stone, like cling sound.
Autumn lands perfectly on her feet and does like a pose.
I think there's a little clap from Lysander because he's overjoyed that all of his friends are back, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Barracks
Okay.
sighs in relief. All right. Door. And I think Varric just like, you know what? Nope, I'm done with this. And he's just gonna place his hand against a corner they perhaps have not been through before, and is just gonna summon a door into existence.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Perhaps there wasn't a door in this room until we figured out why there was not a door in this room.
That's the curse.
That's the curse.
That's the
Ooh,
curse.
So I do think though, as we get to this point, we're like, how can you prevent this sort of thing from happening again? It sinks in that the only way to stop this from happening again is to escape the dungeon.
Therefore, we can't.
Easy. No, easy. We got this.
Easy.
Oh,
We got
true.
this. We're
I mean,
safe.
sorry. Kieran is very optimistic.
Yeah, we're gonna escape this dungeon.
As long as we're together.
I'll make us doors. We're gonna get out of here. I'm
My
done with
Gotta
friends
this.
are
get the
my power.
treasure. The treasure. At the
Yeah.
end of
Treasure
this
worth it,
dungeon
though?
is an escape from
Once we
this
find the
dungeon.
treasure. I don't know. We don't know if it's worth it. As we
I-
drive
I
our
think
friends'
that's how
dead,
that's gonna
knives-ridden bodies.
Does Varric open the door, or did you just summon one and
I
anybody
think
can open it?
he's summoning it, and anyone can open it.
Okay.
Who wants to open the door? Varric can open it if you want Varric to open
No, it's okay. I mean,
I mean, if no one wants to open it, Autumn can open it.
I can open it. It's fine. I don't mind opening the door.
I don't mind dying again.
I think the only one of us that will die if we open the door at this point is Lysander. Because we've all
Yes.
just come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if nobody else wants to open the door, I'll open the door. But it's
Uh,
up to you. Because I just opened the door.
I'll open the
You know-
door.
Yeah, you
I'll
open
open.
the door.
I'll open the door.
I was like, I just GM'd. He's somebody else GM.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
Yeah.
So he goes to open this door, and it's from a new section, but suddenly we're back at the Gatekeeper. And it's almost like we're at the beginning, and Varric just like stomps his foot, like, really, the start? And we look, and we see again that giant blizzard going through. But as we get in, it smells in this entrance, but it doesn't smell like it did before, like just, mottled cave and snow and, dank earth. But it smells like roasting wheat and bread and hearth, and it's like a joyful almost spell, which is sort of tilting considering all you've gone through. And it's strange because you look around and there's a soft moment to reassure friends as you come across this room, and suddenly there's a hearth there, and on the stones against the hearth there is freshly baked bread, wheaten loaves with several kinds of grains, and despite that there should be some kind of drafty chill from the storm going on outside, there isn't. And it's actually sort of nice, and for a moment you'd wonder, you could just picture all of you hanging out at a tavern similarly like this, you know, Nonagon stroking a lute, not a lyre. You don't stroke a lyre. And it reminds you of happier times before you left for this terrible mountain to get to this terrible dungeon.
I think Lysander is like the beginning, as just like Varric said, but also smells the bread and is probably very hungry. And I think he goes and like walks over to the hearth and will sit at the hearth.
I
Autumn, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Autumn goes over to the bread. You said there was actual bread, right? Not just the smell of bread.
Yeah.
Autumn goes over to the bread and just like gets in real close to smell it and says, "I wonder if this is safe to eat."
It smells safe. It reminds you of home. It makes you think of growing up and times when your grandfather was there, where he would make fresh loaves of bread. And it's this sense memory that almost has you choking a little with warmth and joy. You haven't thought of him in so long. You've been so busy doing thief things.
Well, let me tell you something
Dang.
about thieves.
A guilt trip too.
Dang.
They are very good multitaskers and can think about their grandfathers while doing thief things.
I think he will go. It's probably safe, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if it's not safe, what's the worst that's gonna happen? We die and we just come back in
we-
the next room.
I guess, yeah.
I
I
think,
think
no.
he frowns.
You know
He's
what?
like,
Autumn's just
Would-
breathing heavily.
Yeah, I think Varric sort of takes a seat also and is like, you know what would be great with this? We used to have this jam made of blackberries back home as you take this part, right? And he sits back against the hearth, not directly on it. And suddenly, Kieran, you realize in your eyesight is a jar of dark jam.
cool. So I think that Kiernan, she had started walking kind of around the edge of this room, kind of, and she kind of like looks down the open, kind of clear path into the dungeon. Clearly confused about what is going on, and then she like looks back to the group as Varric said the thing about the jam, and she sees the jam and kind of walks over to where it is and picks it up and kind of shows it. You mean like this?
And Varric sort of blinks because it's not just like a plain glass jar. There's like a little label on it, and it says Badger's Bakery, and there's like a very cute little cartoon hand-drawn badger on the label, and twine wraps a small wooden spoon to sort of dip into it. And Varric blinks because that's the exact bakery of his hometown. And he says exactly like that as he sort of takes a hand for it and sort of twists it and like brings it towards Autumn, and it's like, can you smell this? Is it poisoned?
What?
Just smell the jam, please.
you used to be able to tell us if things were poisoned when you smelled, like you could identify them by smelling them.
I don't think that's true.
No, you helped
I
us
wa-
to solve
I
the
watched
puzzle.
you. I watched you do it, Autumn.
Yeah, that's how we got rid of
Autumn looks really confused.
Okay, let me see, and he'll reach again and touch your forehead, and this time instead of growing your mind, he's going to spark a memory.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. I decided that because every time the thief dies, they erase like everything
Their
they've done
abilities,
before and
yeah.
start anew. So she just doesn't remember having being able to do this stuff.
Now you
But
spark
then
that.
the,
you
yeah, the
remember.
memories come back, and she like makes a face and takes a step back and says, "Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know if I can still do that. I don't know
That's-
why I can't remember doing that."
All right, well, I'm just gonna. Then Varric
But I can-
smells it himself. And it smells again like home, and he's like, again, what's the worst that happened? And he like
You could-
slathers it across bed and he just eats it, and he like sighs in pleasure because it's exactly like he remembered it, a small creature comfort of home.
He did not die instantly. It's probably safe, and we should probably eat.
Okay.
And I think Lysander's gonna
Hey
eat
Lysander,
some. What's up?
what would your mom make for you when you were not feeling well when you were little? If you like skinned a knee running around or climbing a tree?
I think he
Assuming
probably
I
got.
had a mother.
Well, yeah, sorry, guardian du jour. Like,
I think he probably was given like a little pastry or something. Probably something with like jam in it.
I think you turn and you're like, we should just eat it. And you look down, and the bread in your hand is suddenly a croissant that's got like this glaze of apricot to it, the jam and the fruit most bared in your hometown.
Oh, I think he smiles a little bit, and he'll eat it, and he'll just like say, "Please eat. You all have to eat. We all have to eat." I think he seems very now like, "Please do the things to keep yourselves alive, because I've already watched you all die once."
Autumn will eat. She'll take some of the bread, some of the jam.
Yeah, you get some of the bread, some of the jam, and Autumn, when you were young, what did your best friend always do that sort of just like made you feel better?
Ooh. I think Autumn got into a lot of trouble as a kid. She grew up to be a thief, so it stands to reason she probably was a troublemaker. And I think her best friend often helped her get away from like authority figures who tried to like catch her or punish her or whatever she was doing that would end in consequences for her actions. Her best friend always helped her get away.
Mm-hmm. And after you had gotten away, was there anything the friend did to sort of help make you feel better or comfort you from like that scary kind of situation?
Yeah, I think they would go. I think there was a spot on a hill overlooking the town they grew up in, underneath a big shady tree. And whenever something like this would happen, whenever there was a real close call like that, they would go up, they would sit under the tree, and they would just look at the town, look up at the stars as it got dark, and just talk.
Yeah, I think you go to like take a bite of your bread and you tilt your head back up and you see that on the top of this cave, it's the same glittering stars you grew up with. And in fact, there's flecks of green at the top of the heart, almost as if, and you look and there's like a small tree sort of growing off to the side of it. And you see your initials carved into it, just like when you were a youth, and the initials of your best friend.
Aww.
When Lysander was like, "Hey, everyone, make sure you eat," I think Kiernan also comes and takes a seat by everyone, and she reaches for some of the bread, and she starts to tell you all of how back during the insert somewhat
War.
recenist war here, she remembers how she and her fellow soldiers were marching to war, and how it was times like these where they were sitting around a fire and just sharing a meal, just like these very few moments of peace that she found a lot of comfort in. And I think during the time that y'all had been traveling together, we all had been traveling together like to this dungeon. I think she had been pretty shielded about her past and everything that had happened. So this is her kind of opening up a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I think as that happens, the other side of the hearth that doesn't have a tree on it, you see suddenly a glazed mural of soldiers around a raucous campfire where someone kind of looks like Kiernan, but not exactly. And it looks like they're having a good time, and there's that sort of kinship of individuals at arms that go through these harrowing situations. And it flashes there for a moment when Kiernan looks at it, but then it changes and it shifts, and it's all of you. It's Autumn, it's Lysander, it's Kiernan, it's Varric, it's Nonagon. And it's the last camping night you had had together before you had come into the dungeon, where you were all smiling. Nonagon was playing their lute, and the aroma starts to hit you of the last meal you'd had. It was some kind of frigid northern bird, and you look inside the hearth, and there's one roasting there additionally.
Aw.
And as you partake in this meal, you enjoy it, you sample, you tell stories together, this moment of respite. And suddenly, once the food is all gone and you're full, but not overly full, it's strange. They look like it was, like you're perfectly satiated. A warm, knobbed, elegant wooden door just seems to appear on the other side.
So
Sorry.
yeah, sorry. So Lucian messaged and asked if I was trying to use my rule about engaging with an element from the heart and being able to erase the element from the room permanently. But I mean, this seems like a pretty nice
It is a
element.
nice one. I
I
was just
don't mind
asking.
having it there still.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If you're not trying to use your roll, I think once the door appears, Autumn will stand up and start heading towards it to open it.
Yeah, I think you all feel this nice sort of renewed vigor and calmness after you've experienced this moment. You've had a soft moment to reassure your friends and each other.
I think he's gonna say, "That's a new entrance. It was hidden from us before."
Yeah.
Then
Let's-
maybe it's the way out.
Yeah, let me just double check. And I think he's gonna probably, I'm gonna assume it's fairly fruitlessly, go towards the clear sight into this dungeon like they've seen before. Does it look the same?
You hit a wall.
I had a
It's
wall.
not- It doesn't look like a wall that's there, but like you hit an invisible wall.
Ooh.
Like a wall of force.
Oh, I think he walks in and just kind of like, good. And he's like, oh,
But that's
okay.
I guess we're not meant to go that way.
No, I don't think so.
So there's
Huh.
probably nothing good behind this door then if it wants us to go through here. She says, opening the door anyway.
I don't know, Varric admits, and he looks at his body tinged with these cuts. But then he also looks to the blackberry jam, empty, and takes a little spoon and just pockets it.
Oh,
Oh, that's cute.
yeah. What do we see as we turn to look behind us?
As you turn to look behind you, you see the wisps of smoke of this hearth. But it's clear the coals are slowly starting to cool as the breeze from, again, that unyielding blizzard now comes in, and before, where the room was warm, it is now cold again.
Okay. So Autumn opens the door to go into the next room, and as everyone follows behind her, we find ourselves in the Gatekeeper.
Oh no!
Oh no!
And as the door shuts behind the last person, it immediately disappears from existence, revealing only a wall.
Again?
Again.
What is
Uh,
going on?
I'm going to highlight
You don't got many options for this question.
a laughing realization sounds appropriate here.
Yeah.
Which I think comes straight from Autumn as soon as she realizes it just sent them right into the same room. She just starts laughing. And it's not a happy laugh. It's not even an angry laugh. It is just an empty, hollow laugh. There is no life behind it. This is the laugh of someone who is starting to give up completely.
We can't.
What do we hope to find beyond the Gatekeeper is our last question for this room.
Freedom?
Yeah,
Way
freedom,
out.
a way out,
Out.
a way out, or even in Autumn's mind at this point,
An end.
Just an end.
Yeah.
An ending without having to come back and relive it. Just the
Dang.
sweet release at this point. It's that those thoughts are starting to take hold, and a hidden entrance, clear sight into the dungeon beyond, a soft moment to reassure friends. The hearth and the fire, the bread, the jam, all of that is gone. It is stark, it is cold, it is empty, it is sterile. The entranceway that they saw at the beginning, where there was a wall of force keeping them from earlier, Autumn, like, puts her hand where they were stopped before, and it goes right through. The wall of force is gone. She turns around to tell everyone, and the blizzard has let up. And it's sunny. And she smiles. And she gets really excited. And a soft moment to reassure friends, she looks at everyone and says, "This is it. We can go. The storm's let up. We can go. We can just leave. We don't have to find the treasure anymore. We can just go." And she starts to head off to the out of the cave
I think.
and runs straight into a wall of force.
Yeah, okay.
I was gonna say-
Suspiciously, yeah.
Oh wait, was there a wall of force there?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say. Okay. Whew.
Saw that a mile away.
We ain't leaving this dungeon. You know this.
I think Varric screams, and it's pained and it's frustrated, and he charges forward and he puts his hand on the wall of force and tries to cast Shatter.
Ooh, that's interesting. Ooh.
I had a spicy thought, but I want to see what you do.
What's your spicy thought? Tell me.
I was gonna say my spicy thought is that it does shatter, revealing something like worse on the other
Worse.
side.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Yeah, the wall of force shatters, revealing that the calm, the sun, the peace outside was only an illusion. The storm is still there, worse than it ever was, and not only that, there is a shadow, a large behemoth out in the storm, making its way towards us, and each footfall sends the ground shaking. Autumn almost falls. The vibrations are so bad, and it is getting closer and closer and closer.
I think Varric just flips it off, and it starts to, and I think it starts to shrink.
The behemoth starts to
The
shrink?
behemoth just starts to shrink.
I think there's no way
I
out
don't know.
this way.
We can't go out that way, but he still enjoys shrinking this behemoth coming at them.
You know what? That's fair. That's valid.
Yeah.
I don't think we can leave this way either.
No.
Then we should
No.
look for another way.
Yes.
Yeah, we should go back
Be
down the hall.
hopeful,
Maybe there's
friends.
another entrance.
Yeah, and I think Kiernan will start down towards the clear clear sight into this dungeon beyond. We'll start down that way again. Is there like an actual door this time, or does it just like open up to the next room?
So as we go down the hallway, there is a door there, but right next to it, on what looks like an ordinary part of the wall, ice and stone, just sitting there, it's shimmering. And you have to catch it just right, but it seems like there might not actually be a wall there. It seems like it might be yet another hidden door.
Ooh, can
Or
I
hidden
like
entrance.
put my hand towards like on the wall, see if it
Mhm.
like
It goes right through.
goes through?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Kiernan will alert the rest of the party to the door, and then not wait for anyone and just open the door, but like go through whatever.
Yeah. Varric will bend over to help Autumn up, since he was also by that sort of entryway.
Mhm.
And say, "Come on, Autumn, back to the next mystical, magical fun room," and start just like leading her away. And like he's like got an arm around you, and he's not bleeding, but you can see as like your arms around him, you can feel it. Like those little cuts tend to open as if they're looking to be filled.
Oh, jeez. Lysander, you were gonna say something?
No, I think he just goes, "Don't go in alone," and I think he's is rushing after Kieran because people die when they go into these rooms, and he's just like, "Please stop,
Yeah.
please stop dying."
Never.
Kieran, where are you taking us now?
I think we're gonna go to the puzzle because
Yeah, we haven't been there
puzzle
in a
hasn't
while.
Yeah.
gotten much love. So we answer another question and highlight another element. The element that we're gonna do is strange tiles on the wall or floor. And the question that we're gonna do is, what about this puzzle gives us trouble? And that will be answered as I describe what this room looks like a little bit. So again, it is a sort of open room with not a lot of like furnishings or anything, but you do see that the floor is made of these very like discrete tiles, like like imagine a tiled floor but made of stone. And you can see on the other side of the room another door that is closed and locked. And as you look closer at these tiles, you can see most of them appear to be they have this writing on it that's insert arcane language or whatever, like ancient whatever language. But if you look very closely, you can see on some of them seem to be indicated as special in one way or another, whether it's like a symbol or something that kind of makes it stand out. And these are kind of scattered across the room, like spread out. Like one might be close to the door, one is on, they're all over the room. But there's only, well, I say they're all over, but there's 5 of them. And that's what gives us trouble because there's only 4 of us.
Gotcha.
Now, continuing reading through these rules, the highlighted elements must be engaged. So we have these strange tiles on the floor. I'm sure you have to do some sort of task to solve this puzzle. There's a puzzle to solve in this room. When you first enter the room, say what it is. Oh, well, the puzzle is figure out how to step on these tiles. And that's it.
Can it
We gotta solve the puzzle.
can it be that simple?
Who knows?
If you just give me a moment, I can make this happen.
Do you need a moment to breathe?
I just need a moment to breathe.
Okay.
And Varric
yeah.
sort of just leans back against the door. He sort of fiddles with the heart locket as his neck, and he wistfully looks to a spot where one of them, like right next to one of the tiles are, and suddenly Nonagon seems to be there. And it looks real, and it would even feel real, but there's no true consciousness like there. You've seen Varric do these kinds of summonings before.
Yeah, I think Autumn's like gut reaction is to pull out a dagger, and then she realizes what it is and like calms herself down. She steadies herself, but she comes very close to throwing a dagger at it.
I think there is a heavy sort of sigh that comes from Lysander. It's obvious that he would have preferred somebody else be summoned, but he's also happy that this provides us a 5th.
Yeah, and you see just Varric wistfully looking at this not real Nonagon, because as a mage, you know how the world works through experience, magic, or intuition. You are never stumped by a puzzle and can often find the answer to a riddle by simply sitting in uninterrupted thought. You may have to get creative with your answers, however. And he looks, and he takes that moment when he was breathing, and he also looks, and he laughs. And it's like a genuine laugh. But then it gets a little, disturbed at the end, kind of like how Autumn was before. As he points out those little differentiating runes. And he laughs and he points to one and says, A for Autumn, L for Lysander, V for Varric, K for Kiernan, N for Nonagon. And they are the runic, the introductory magical rune alphabet letters.
Oh,
If he recognizes.
I think there is a slight look of like object horror on Kiernan's face. Because again, she would have preferred someone else be summoned because this is kind of like a monstrosity, mockery of life
We
in
needed
front of.
we needed N.
yeah, we
And-
needed
and-
him.
And Varric, like a tear, I think, just like goes down his cheek, and he walks over towards where the V is, the tile with the V rune on it.
Yeah, Autumn just slumps over to the A.
I think
Well, let me describe something first.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, as you step on the first tile, that is just like a rando tile, you can feel it kind of like depress a little bit. And after a moment, it like immediately like starts to give way completely, like break away, revealing a like a just empty vast nothingness underneath. So you're able to, if you know, as long as you don't linger on one tile too long, I imagine you wouldn't, but you're able to keep going, and once you make it to one of the proper tiles, that one seems to magically remain kind of like suspended in the air.
Varric
Okay.
just sort of sighs and casts Fly on the whole group, so we can all just float over to the right tile, and he instructs the Nonagon simulacrum to do the same.
Yeah, and we're
He's
all
got
able to.
this weary expression with like several tears just falling every now and then.
Assuming we all go stand on our tiles, once all 5 of them are sort of depressed a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean the tiles, not the
We're
players.
severely depressed.
once all the characters are depressed, well, don't worry,
Well,
we got you.
we're already there. New tiles kind of get conjured that form this path that lead to the door, the other door that we didn't just come through. And you can hear a very loud unlocking sound kind of ring through the room.
I think Lysander will follow the path, and he's like, I think he's just sighs because he just looks. He's like, I couldn't solve this puzzle because for the last few rooms, he's been without much other abilities. He's just tired. He's worn down. He's seen all of his friends die and come back, and some of them die twice and come back. Looks at Autumn, and I think he's just like, I'm ready to be done with this dungeon, I think he says as he goes and opens the next door. He just admits what everybody's not really everybody's freaking out about it, but he just says it very calmly. And I think we're gonna go to the treasure at the end of this dungeon is an escape from this dungeon, and we will never escape from this dungeon.
Makes sense.
And it's also I opened the door. This is my 1,000,000th door that I've opened, and I only have one rule left, which is the you do not die. So when this is the only rule left, I meet my gruesome end. A new muscle joins the rest of the selves, and to pick a new look, weapon, and power, etc., etc. But I will instead first talk to us about this room, because I have to die in this room.
Yeah, you have to tell us how you died too.
I'm gonna tell you how we die.
You can make the choice because the way that rule is worded, like the new muscle could appear immediately.
I don't think it's gonna.
It's up to
I don't
you,
think he's
though.
gonna, because I think this is
Yeah.
more poignant that he just dies in this room.
Yeah.
So I think, unlike the last few times we've been here, we're first greeted, and this will be the new element that I'm choosing, by the smell of fresh air. Instead of it kind of just having sunlight trickles in. He opens it, and everyone just smells outside, like an outside, like an outside park, sort of like it's like a field rather than the raging inferno blizzard that we have going on from the beginning. And as the door opens, it says a hint of sunlight, but it's a lot of sunlight coming in. And I think the question that I'm going to have answered here is, what did you learn from this life? And because we're trashing what you have in the face of destruction, we're all gonna interact with these elements, but I think Lysander learned that it's not worth it if you don't have people to travel with in life, as in the connections you make to people is what's important. And I think he sees and smells the air and sees the sun and sees the field, and he grabs like whoever's closest to him's like arm. It could be whoever you guys want it to be, and I think he just pulls them into the room, and I think he just calls for everybody to come in, and I think he's like, we've done it, we're out. And I think as he runs into this field like room, I think he just collapses because he's just been literally beaten too much through the whole dungeon that his body just at this point, this relief kind of stops all of the adrenaline and stuff that was pretty much keeping him going.
Autumn immediately shouts, Kieran!
Yeah, and I think Kieran like immediately runs to Lysander's side again. Is he like already dead, or is he just dying?
I think he's unconscious and in the process of dying.
Okay, so I think she tries, like, I know she can't bring him, she can't save him, but I think she tries, and as she realizes that it's not working, she kind of positions him so that his like head is resting in her lap, and she feels these tears bubbling up, and she just says, yeah, you made it out. Trying to just kind of, even if he's unconscious, trying to reassure him in his last moments.
I think he's not fully there, and he's just like, and then I think he just starts saying those like kind of really sad things. No, yeah, you're good. I think he just says, you know, and then we're going to go on to our next big adventure. And I think that's just it for him, and I think he passes. But you're all in this big field room.
Autumn starts sobbing.
Yeah, Kieran's crying is a little more like the silent like tears running down her eyes. Like there's no like gasping or anything. And she like reaches up to like close Lysander's eyes if they were still open, and kind of very gently places him like back on the ground in this you said it was like a field, right? So is there like actual grass and like plants?
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, it seems like you're outside in a field.
Yeah, so she'll very carefully you know, place him on the ground. And I think she kind of says out loud to no one in particular. She just says, maybe it's cruel to have lied to him in his last moments, but
I want to be lied to.
I think if it brought him some peace, then it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. I think so too.
I think in that moment, I would have liked to have been lied to. And you see Varric, he's plucked several of these white daisies that sort of mimic the color of Lysander's hair, and is starting to use gentle magic to sort of weave a little flower crown that he puts atop Lysander's head.
I think Autumn kneels over Lysander for a moment, not doing anything, not saying anything. Her eyes are just closed. She's just having a silent moment to herself over his body.
And as you guys, I think, have this moment where you're focused on anything other than the rest of this dungeon, because you're cherishing something that you had in the face of its destruction, you hear a whirring sound, and out of the ground, probably no more than 100 feet from you guys, a stone archway comes out with a door on it, shattering any kind of concept that you were in fact out of this dungeon.
Autumn
I think
starts
it's
laughing
Kieran.
again.
Yeah, I'm like, I think it's Kiernan's turn to do one of
Yeah.
those dry chuckles. But
I think-
she kind of does this like resolute nod again, and she looks at Varric and the others, and Autumn, because she is the only other, and say, we should at least, we can't just leave his body here like this.
We'll bury. Let's bury him. We have the ability to bury him. Just if you
But
can make a
this is-
small hole.
This is still the dungeon. Do we want to bury him in the dungeon? If we're still in the dungeon, maybe he'll be alive when we go through the door.
I incinerated you.
It's Kieran doesn't stutter,
just-
but me. It's symbolic. And we don't want those things to be able to use his body for something.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just make a small hole, I can make it larger.
And Kieran will start digging with one of her various weapons or tools or something.
Yeah, and once you have like a small enough hole, Varric will lean down and he'll grow it in size big enough to make to put Lysander in, and he'll lean down and help put Lysander in, and this crown of daisies is affixed on his head. And as much as Varric thumbs it, I think he actually breaks off the necklace of Nonagon that he opens, and it's a picture of himself and Nonagon as two young boys. And he takes it and he puts it into Lysander's hand and clasps them close and kisses the knuckles before looking to Kieran and Autumn. Should we cover? Do you want to say anything or do anything, or should we just cover him?
I don't want to stay here any longer than we have to.
I think Kieran just says like a very abbreviated, real quick thing about like everything that Lysander's done as they've traveled together, and all the selfless acts that he's done, blah blah blah.
And then I think there's a moment where right before they go to bury him, Varric laughs and pulls out the teeny spoon and says, "Lysander, if you come back, you might need this to get out." And puts it next to Lysander, this tiny spoon in the grave.
It might take you a while, but
It
you'll
might
be able to
take you
get
a
out.
little while. It's a jam jar spoon, but hey, it's better than nothing. He sort of does like a pained laugh, and a few more tears fall. And he had taken the picture out of the locket, and he'd left just the locket, and so now he's just holding this small heart-shaped picture in his hand. And he goes towards the door.
Autumn follows, and I think she snakes past Varric. Thank you. Sorry. I'm so sorry. She snakes past Varric and opens the door just in an absolute rush to get out. And I think as she opens the door, they find themselves back in the battle room. And they see, even though they don't remember these reptilian monsters killing each of them, they see reflections of themselves standing there. As they enter the battle room, they see Autumn, they see Varric, they see Kieran, They see Lysander. They even see Nonigan. And there's probably someone else in the room now, too. A new muscle. Familiar to all of us, but with a new face. With a new source of where his power comes from. But still so familiar. And as the party realizes they're about to have to fight these doppelgangers of themselves again, they're going to have to go through this room again. There seems to be no end to this still. I think that's where we will draw things to an end. We'll fade out there as the party stares down doppelgangers of themselves with a new yet familiar friend beside them.
Dang.
Dang.
Guys, we didn't get out of the dungeon.
I'm
We did not.
Well,
We did
didn't
not
you know?
escape.
The treasure of the end of the dungeons have to cannot escape from this dungeon.
Boy, that was...
Whew.
How y'all
Ye-
feeling?
That was a lot. Actually, really good. It was really like that ending.
I like that was a
Good.
very poignant ending. I don't know
Yeah.
if all games necessarily time that well to end when
Yeah.
your muscle dies
So,
permanently.
fun fact. I won't get into this too much right now, but I did facilitate this as a practice run before this, and it did end with the muscle finally meeting her end. At that
think
point,
it's
Muscle
good
man.
timing.
They're the heart
it's
of the
very
team.
good timing. It's
Yeah.
very good timing.
Suffered
especially
enough.
something like this. Anyway,
Y'all made me,
yeah,
you know, you all, I took the last one left because I wanted you all to pick something that was interesting. Y'all put me with the one that made me suffer. I experienced the death of all of my friends.
Technically, Lysander should have been dead.
That's
And
true.
he should have ended with someone else, but
Thanks to
Stephanie
our
gave us
saved.
money. Thanks, Stephanie.
benevolent goddess.
She helped us get a really good ending there, to be honest, and that
Yeah,
was great.
to say,
Anyway,
Thanks,
let's wrap up. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks for playing, everyone. Let's tell everyone who you are again, where they can find you, whatever you have coming up. Let's start with Lucian again.
Hi, I'm Lucian, and I played Lysander and struggle bust through this whole thing because it made me feel feelings. You can find me on Twitch at Chaotic Lucian. You can also find me on Twitter as Chaotic Lucian. The last episodes of Descend to Drumbeats, A Heart, the City Beneath story are coming out soon, and you can check me in that. Otherwise, I'll be MIA for like a little bit until I figure out something else to do. And thanks for watching.
Kay.
Hi, I'm Kay, and tonight I played Varric, our mage. You can find me on Twitter at puppylover12398 or as puppylover, mostly in Carrion Comfort Discord. I'm pretty often there. Similarly to Lucian, you can catch me in the final episodes of our Heart Descend to Drumbeats game, which will be coming up here on Carrion Comfort Studios soon. And other than that, my schedule's getting pretty freed up. So if you're looking for anyone, let me know. I'd be happy to investigate new games and new scenarios. And I really like playing indie one-shots like The Treasure at the End of this Dungeon and Escape from this Dungeon, and we will never escape from this dungeon.
Ashley.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley or Aid. You can find me on Twitter at Aid3E. You can also find me on the Carrion Comfort Discord as Aid. Really, I don't got much. Come hang out on Discord with me. I don't really say that much, but I definitely am there and I read a lot of things. So, yeah, we'll just hang out there. And if I don't want to want to sound like a broken record with these two, but if you're looking for someone to play a healer in your game, I'm here. I have a brand and I know it. That's it. That's all I got.
And I am Zoe. I have been your thief for the night and facilitator of The Treasure at the End of this Dungeon is an escape from this dungeon, and we will never escape this from this dungeon. Once again, the game is by Riverhouse Games. You can find them at riverhousegames.com or riverhousegames.itch.io. It's a great game. A lot of what makes it really special to me is the writing in it. I highly recommend checking it out. Pay for it if you can. They also have community copies available if you can't afford it. It's a really great game. I highly recommend checking it out. You can find me at Twillick43 on Twitter, Instagram, Discord. Hang out in the Carrion Comfort Discord all the time. I have a couple things coming up, actually, which is exciting. But the most prominent one is next Saturday on September 11th at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Gehenna Gaming. I am going to be in a Vampire 5e one-shot ran by our very own Rosie, or regular-sized mom, called Fangs in Space. It's going to be another charity stream benefiting the Friends of Firefighters in New York City, since we're doing it on September 11th. So be sure to come and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. A couple other announcements before we wrap up. Come check out the Discord. The Discord's great. Someone will probably pop a link in the Discord, or I can do it right now, actually.
Someone already did, but do you want to?
Someone did already? I'll do it again. Come join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun there, especially tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. AEW All Out Watch Party. It's a very exciting moment that's been built towards. I actually don't know that much about wrestling, but everyone's super excited about it, and I'm excited for them. It's going to be really cool and really great. Tuesday is Comfort Sickle with Life is Strange 2. Leslie is playing Life is Strange 2 to try to finish it in time before Life is Strange True Colors. I think she's starting at 3 p.m. Eastern again, but I'm not 100% sure. But keep an eye on Twitter, because you can check us out at twitter.com/comfortcarrion. That's Carrion Comfort's Twitter account. You can follow the account for announcements for things like that.
And if we get, I think, 1,000 followers, there's going to be a very cool Maid Cafe RPG. So please follow and tell your friends to follow, because I want to see Nick and Wes and Ben in maid outfits.
And if you want to donate more for our friend Lucian here, you can tune into Comfort Sickle and donate money to make Leslie eat really gross popsicles, like hot dog water popsicles.
It doesn't have to be gross.
It doesn't have to be gross.
It doesn't have to be gross, but it's more
nice
fun if it's gross.
Yeah, maybe you're looking for a fun popsicle recipe that you really want to feature kiwis, and you can get Leslie to make a whole recipe for you. You don't even have to tip at it. Leslie, make me a kiwi and tequila popsicle. Now I have a recipe. Thank you.
You could do that too. Yeah, and more shows to be announced soon. I already shout out the Twitter, twitter.com/comfortcarrion. Follow us, like and subscribe. There's a YouTube page. Search Carrion Comfort Studios on YouTube. You'll be able to find that. Subscribe. Smash that bell button to get those push notifications so you know when videos get uploaded. We have merch. Check out the merch. There it is. You can go to thirsttrapmothman.threadless.com and buy a bunch of merch for your favorite shows. There's a lot of cool stuff there. I have a lot of cool stuff from it. I have several shirts from them, and I love them so much.
I just went on a vacation, and I mostly packed that stuff, and it was super comfy, and it was easy to wash and deal with while I was traveling between multiple states. And they had fun sayings on them, and I got asked questions, and I liked it.
You can also follow us on Patreon. Donate to Patreon for a bunch of cool and exciting benefits. There's a lot of cool things you can get by becoming a Patreon supporter.
Patron.
You can get games run for you. We watch movies about once a week. That's just for Patreon members in the Discord. And a bunch of other stuff. It's a lot of fun. And of course, as always, we are sponsored by Callow. They are great. You already did it. I even misspelled it. It's fine. Go check out Callow. It's great. It's really great. I'm not lying. I bought the sleep stuff because I have a lot of trouble sleeping and it kicks in immediately. I bought the focus stuff because I have severe ADHD and focus issues. And getting prepared for this, I used a lot of Q Focus and it legitimately helps. It also helps me get through work. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So check all of that stuff out. I think that's everything. I think that's all the announcements. I hope you had fun watching. Thank you, Ashley, Lucian, and Kay for playing. Thank you, Leslie, Rosie, and Dave in the Discord for helping me practice facilitating this and getting me ready. I would not have been as confident going into this without them, so a huge thank you to them as well. And thank you, Wes, as always, for being amazing and a wonderful producer and just being an all-around awesome person.
Well, thank you for running for or facilitating this and introducing us
You're
to this
welcome.
super cool game.
Thank
Yeah,
you for the
well,
support, everybody of this community. You're all really great people.
Yeah.
Aw, well, we love you, so deal with it.
No, you.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's it. Have a good night, everyone.
Goodbye.
Good night, guys. You'll escape the dungeon, though.
You'll escape the dungeon. We couldn't, but you will.
It's musicality on the chat.